Chapter 1305. Yes, I was too reckless last time, so I'll be the host this time. Let's talk about what happened last time. Zhao Fafa nodded. Alright, let's go. Lin Yi nodded. BSP, Zhao Fafa didn't expect Lin Yi to be so easygoing. He was overjoyed and quickly led the way with Wu Liuqi, leaving the school with Lin Yi. When they reached the school gate, Zhao Fafa realized that there was a ticket on his car. The school gate was a no parking zone, and Lin Yi had parked his car at the food street behind the school. Naturally, he wouldn't park his car here. Zhao Fafa was a bit pissed. It wasn't about the ticket, it was about his face. His car got a ticket in front of Lin Yi. It made him feel embarrassed as if he didn't know the rules. FA bro, who posted this? Wu Liuqi saw Zhao Fafa's unhappy face and immediately guessed what he was thinking. He ran to the car and tore the ticket off, throwing it on the ground. Lin Yi saw the ticket, but he was too lazy to expose Zhao Fafa and Wu Liuqi's fake behavior. Liuqi, this is a sports car. Can only take 2 people. You can follow behind in a taxi? Zhao Fafa turned his head. Sure, no problem. Wu Liuqi wanted to get close to Zhao Fafa. He knew that Zhao Fafa was rich now and he had a powerful relative. So eating was a small matter. His family was well off and he didn't lack a meal. The key was to please Zhao Fafa. Looking at Lin Yi getting into his car alone, Zhao Fafa was overjoyed. This kid was really dumb. Did he really think that he was going to treat him to a meal? What an idiot. When Sun Xiaoxing brought people to the room, he would be scared to death. Sun Xiaoxing chose the most expensive restaurant in Songshan, Tyrant Fish. It was one of the most expensive restaurants in Songshan. The price was not any lower than Starlight Hotel. Zhao Fafa parked his car in front of Tyrant Fish and entered the restaurant with Lin Yi. Welcome. As soon as the 3 of them entered the door, a waitress bowed politely and greeted them. It could be seen that the service here was top-notch. Looking at the waitress's appearance and height, one could tell that the quality of this place was not low. The decoration of this place was not inferior to that of the Starlight Hotel. Lin Yi had never been here before, but he'd heard Xiao Xiao mention it before. The girl had always wanted to have a feast here, but she didn't have the money or the opportunity. It was quite a pity that he didn't bring Xiao Xiao here today. One of Xiao Xiao's greatest joys in life was eating delicacies. She probably had one less day to eat, and so she was very familiar with all the food cities in Songshan. Room 588. Zhao Fafa said proudly to the waitress. We've made a reservation. Did Mr. Sun make a reservation? Please follow me. The waiter said after checking the PDA on his palm. Looking at the advanced equipment in the hands of the waiter, one could also indirectly reflect the level of this place. After Lin Yi, Zhao Fafa and Wu Liuqi entered the room, Sun Xiaoxing was already waiting inside, but his men hadn't arrived yet. Zhao Fafa planned to let Lin Yi order the dishes and talk for a while before calling Sun Xiaoxing's men to scare Lin Yi. If they appeared too early, he was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't dare to order the dishes, and then there wouldn't be any fun in scaring people. F.A. bro, you're here. Sun Xiaoxing stood up and said respectfully. And this is Lin Yi, the main character of this meal. Zhao Fafa pointed at Lin Yi and gave Sun Xiaoxing a look. Lin Yi, welcome. Sun Xiaoxing immediately understood what Zhao Fafa meant. It wasn't the first time he did this. You're the guest, you order the dishes. With that, Sun Xiaoxing passed the menu to Lin Yi, letting him order the dishes. Oh, okay. Lin Yi didn't know what Zhao Fafa was planning, but Lin Yi didn't care. He took the menu and looked at it. The dishes here weren't cheap and some were ridiculously expensive. Lin Yi was like Xiao Xiao, he took the menu and ordered the expensive dishes. Even if he knew that Zhao Fafa was rich, Lin Yi still wanted to rip him off. Unknowingly, Lin Yi was influenced by Xiao Xiao's style. Otherwise, according to Lin Yi's character, he wouldn't come out to eat with Zhao Fafa. He would grab Zhao Fafa's collar and throw him down the stairs. Seeing how Lin Yi ordered so many expensive dishes, Zhao Fafa's face lit up with joy. Before, he was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't order these expensive dishes. He was thinking of how to persuade Lin Yi to order more expensive dishes. That was the only way to get Lin Yi to pay the bill. But Lin Yi was the first to order the delicacies. It seemed that the kid was a little retarded. He didn't know that he was the one paying for the food, did he? This is all I've ordered. Do you want to add more? Lin Yi passed the menu back to Zhao Fafa and asked. Zhao Fafa looked at Lin Yi's order. Lin Yi ordered almost 200,000 yuan worth of seafood. This made Zhao Fafa very satisfied. Although Zhao Fafa's family was rich and he drove a sports car, his monthly allowance was only this much. He didn't want to spend so much money on food. Xiaoxing, Liuqi, you guys order more. It's my treat. Just order the expensive dishes. Zhao Fafa passed the menu back to Sun Xiaoxing and Wu Liuqi. Okay. Thank you bro. I won't hold back then. Sun Xiaoxing took the menu knowingly and began to order more dishes that cost more than 100,000 yuan at 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Sun Xiaoxing's family was different from Zhao Fafa and Wu Liuqi. His family didn't have much money. Although Zhao Fafa gave him 50,000 yuan every month to develop his business, how could he bear to spend money on food? That money was also used to recruit followers, so how could he let go of such a good opportunity to eat to his heart's content? He ordered some expensive seafood that he couldn't eat normally. He was going to have a good meal later. After Sun Xiaoxing finished ordering, Wu Liuqi also took the menu, but he didn't order more. Instead, he told the waiter to order the same things that Sun Xiaoxing ordered. That's it? Don't be shy. Order whatever you want. Zhao Fafa saw that the two were cooperating and he was elated. This was great. He ordered 500,000 worth of dishes in one go. Linny was going to have a headache later. Let's see how he pays the bill. Chapter 1306. Bro already said that he's treating. Why are you guys still being so polite? Linny opened his mouth. How about this, since Bro is so passionate, we'll give them 2 more servings of everything they ordered. Yes, sir. The waiter nodded politely. He didn't think that the people in the room couldn't afford the bill at all. He heard that these people came in a Ferrari. How could they not have money? And give me 3 more servings. Zhao Fafa felt that it wasn't enough, so he asked the waiter to give him 1 more. He wanted to kill Linny. He wanted Linny to die. Alright, is there anything else you need? The waiter nodded. No, go and serve the dishes, we need to talk. Zhao Fafa waved his hand, signaling the waiter to leave. After the waiter left, Zhao Fafa looked at Linny with a serious face. Do you know why I asked you to come here? What's the matter? Aren't you treating me to a meal? Is there something else? Linny paused, and asked back. Zhao Fafa didn't expect this person to be so careless. Was he stupid? He was fine. Why did he invite him to a meal? Wasn't he bored? Isn't that so? Linny asked. Do you think I'm stupid? Zhao Fafa was in pain. Why was this person so stupid? Normal people would have noticed something at this moment, but this kid seemed to be fine. He didn't even notice the danger in front of him. Seems like it. Otherwise, why would you spend so much money to treat me to a meal? Linny nodded. Fuck. Zhao Fafa heard Lin Yi's words. He was furious. He slammed the table. Kid, I'm telling you, I'm here to talk to you. What happened last time isn't over yet. Oh. Linny nodded. You invited me to dinner just for the matter last time? What happened last time is in the past and I don't plan to pursue it. You don't have to treat me to a big meal. Zhao Fafa wanted to cry. How could there be such an idiot in this world who didn't understand what was being said? She was threatening him, but he took it as an apology. Why was this person's IQ so low? Alright, I know you feel bad about it, so treat me to a meal. No problem, I accept your kindness. Nothing needs to be said. Linny said. Damn you. Sun Xiaoxing saw the ugly expression on Zhao Fafa's face. He slammed the table and pointed at Lin Yi. Kid, listen up. Bro didn't call you here to apologize. He's here to cause you trouble. Find trouble with me? Treating me to a meal is to cause trouble for me? Then I'd rather have more troubles in the future. Lin Yi said indifferently. You. Sun Xiaoxing wanted to cry. Was there something wrong with his speech? Why didn't Lin Yi understand what she was saying? At this moment there was a knock on the door. The waiter was here to serve the dishes. Now was not the time to eat, and hotels of this level all had prepared food, so it didn't take long for the delicious dishes they had ordered to be served on the table. The waiter's arrival helped Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing out of the predicament. They were at their wits' end when they met someone like Lin Yi who didn't understand words. In the past, those who were scared were also smart. As long as he gave them a hint, they would be scared witless. However, this kid in front of him, after hinting for a long time, he misunderstood and thought that he really wanted to treat him to a meal. The waiter left after placing the dishes on the table. Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing on the other hand looked at each other. They were thinking about how to continue the conversation with Lin Yi. But before they could speak, Lin Yi spoke first. This crab is really big, it's a giant. I heard it's called king crab, right? Let's eat while it's hot. If you have anything to say, we can talk after the meal. With that, he didn't care about Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing as he took the crab and started eating. Zhao Fafa and Sun Xiaoxing were speechless. Wu Liuqi, on the other hand, didn't know what was going on and didn't dare to speak. Ahem. Lin Yi, put the crab down first and listen to me. Zhao Fafa looked at Lin Yi eating the crab. He was a little depressed and snorted. Oh, go ahead. I'll listen while I eat. Lin Yi didn't seem to want to put the crab down. Tell me the truth, I like Tang Yun. Give her to me and I'll let this go. Otherwise Zhao Fafa said threateningly, but even he himself felt that the threat wasn't as threatening as it sounded out from his mouth. In the past, every time Zhao Fafa scared people, they would be scared and sit there, not moving at all. But now the person in front of him was Lin Yi, who was stuffing himself with food. It was funny no matter how he looked at it. Lin Yi replied and continued eating. I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Zhao Fafa was furious. Kid Fa bro is talking to you. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. What do you want? Tell me. Sun Xiaoxing couldn't hold it in anymore. I'm telling you, I'm from the underworld. Don't think that you can do anything just because you have some skills. I can kill you easily. Oh. Lin Yi replied indifferently. Who knew if he heard what Sun Xiaoxing said or not? Kid, did you hear me or not? Zhao Fafa couldn't stand Lin Yi's attitude anymore. Xiaoxing, call people over? Yes. Sun Xiaoxing was waiting for this moment. He was very angry at Lin Yi. He was waiting for Zhao Fafa to call people over to teach Lin Yi a lesson. Sun Xiaoxing's men were already prepared. They were waiting in the room next door. So, when Sun Xiaoxing gave the signal, the men in the room next door rushed into his room. These men were all wearing black shirts and pants. Their hair was dyed in different colors. Although they didn't have any weapons in their hands, their waists were bulging. Obviously, they had a dagger or something like that in their pockets. Zhao bro, Sun bro. These men knew Zhao Fafa. They knew that Zhao Fafa was Sun Xiaoxing's boss. So, they greeted Zhao Fafa as soon as they entered the room. Zhao Fafa frowned. Obviously, he wasn't happy with the name Zhao bro. How many times do I have to tell you? Call me Fa bro or Fa master. Yes, brother Fa. The underlings hurriedly repeated. Chapter 1307. Don't say those useless things. Zhao Fafa heard Lin Yi's inaccurate pronunciation and naturally knew that he was teasing him. He pointed at Lin Yi. See that? If you nod your head today, I'll leave with these people and pretend that nothing happened. If you don't nod your head, then I'm sorry, but you'll have to call for an ambulance. Oh, so you're saying that I'll go to the hospital if I eat too much? Lin Yi pointed at the delicious food on the table. Indeed, there's quite a lot. If I ate all of this, I'd really end up in the hospital. How about this, I'll call my girlfriend and ask her to come eat with us. Lin Yi wanted to call Xiao Xiao. There was so much good food here, he should let her enjoy it. Otherwise it'd be a waste. Zhao Fafa paused after hearing Lin Yi's words. Call your girlfriend? Wasn't Lin Yi's girlfriend Tang Yun? Could it be that this kid changed his mind and wanted to give Tang Yun to him? This kid wasn't an idiot, he just didn't want to lose face. Was that why he used such a subtle method to get what he wanted? Yes, that was very likely. Zhao Fafa felt that his IQ was too high. He immediately thought of what Lin Yi was thinking. It seemed that his threat was effective. Lin Yi was scared, he just didn't want to lose face. At least you know what's good for you. I thought you were stubborn. Hurry up and make the call, don't waste time. Zhao Fafa thought of Tang Yun's body and felt an itch in his heart. Lin Yi didn't correct Zhao Fafa. He picked up the phone and called Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi honey, where did you go? Why didn't I see you after PE class? Xiao Xiao had just finished her class and was wondering where Lin Yi had gone. Drive to Tyrant Fish Seafood Restaurant right now. Someone's treating us to a seafood feast. Lin Yi said. It's a room reserved by that Sun guy. Okay, I'll go right away. Xiao Xiao agreed immediately. She loved big meals, especially when she was with Lin Yi. It was free. Lin Yi didn't drive before leaving his car at school. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, had a set of keys so she could just drive over. Kid, you're pretty smart, aren't you? If that's the case, I won't beat you up. Zhao Fafa waved his hand and gestured to the people in the room. Everyone sit down and eat. This kid is still on the right path. Thank you, Fa bro. When these people saw all kinds of delicious seafood on the table, their eyes were about to turn green. Previously, they were in another private room, only drinking tea and waiting for orders. There was nothing to eat at all. Moreover, it was rare for them to eat such delicious food. At this moment, their eyes were shining with desire to eat. Wait. Just as these people were about to sit down, Lin Yi waved his hand and stopped them. If they eat, what about my girlfriend? Didn't you come here for nothing? Fafa blinked. That's right, how could Tang Yun eat with a bunch of vulgar people when she's here? What's more, Tang Yun was about to become his woman, so he had to treat Tang Yun even better. Alright, you guys stand here for a bit. I'll treat you later. Zhao Fafa waved his hand and gestured for them to continue standing. Although these people were a little disappointed, they didn't dare to argue with Zhao Fafa. After all, their money was supported by Zhao Fafa, so they could only stand aside obediently. Very soon there was a knock on the door. Zhao Fafa was very excited. He couldn't wait for Tang Yun anymore. He waved his hand and one of his men opened the door. But the person who came in made Zhao Fafa pause. It wasn't Tang Yun but another girl. She was pretty, but Zhao Fafa was obsessed with Tang Yun these days. He wouldn't give up until he got what he wanted. You are? Zhao Fafa looked at the person weirdly. Did she knock on the wrong door? Linny honey, you really are here. Xiao Xiao didn't even bother with Zhao Fafa. When she saw Lin Yi, she excitedly ran over and sat beside Lin Yi. She looked at the food on the table and exclaimed, "There's so much good food." Yeah, hurry up and eat. Let's eat together. Lin Yi put a giant crab on Xiao Xiao's plate. Sure. Xiao Xiao didn't care. She was a little suspicious of the atmosphere in the room, but with Lin Yi here, she didn't have to worry about anything. Since Lin Yi told her to eat, she was ready to eat. Lin Yi, didn't you say your girlfriend was here? What's going on? Are you messing with me? Zhao Fafa couldn't take it anymore as he looked at the couple who only had food in their eyes. He slammed the table and roared, "Where's Tang Yun? I didn't say Tang Yun was coming. Isn't she my girlfriend?" Lin Yi pointed at Xiao Xiao innocently. Her? Isn't your girlfriend Tang Yun? Zhao Fafa frowned. Tang Yun's sis is the first wife and I'm the second wife. What's wrong with that? Alright, who are you? Xiao Xiao looked at Zhao Fafa strangely after explaining. She didn't know who this guy was. Oh, he's the one who's treating us. Lin Yi said. Ignore him. He's too rich to spend. He's treating us. Oh, there's an idiot like him in this world. He's so dumb. Xiao Xiao nodded and started eating the crab. Eat my ass. I'm the one who's going to kill you. You're toying with me? Zhao Fafa finally realized that Lin Yi had been toying with him all along. This guy wasn't an idiot at all. He underestimated him. I'm not toying with you. I've been telling you the truth but you didn't believe me, Lin Yi said. Alright, take a seat first. My girlfriend and I are going to eat. Beat him up. Zhao Fafa was really pissed now. He pointed at Lin Yi and ordered his men at the door. You talk too much. Lin Yi threw a crab shell at Zhao Fafa's mouth. The crab shell wasn't sharp, but with Lin Yi's strength, it stuck around Zhao Fafa's mouth and sealed his mouth. Chapter 1308. Everyone was scared. Zhao bro, what's wrong? Sun Xiaoxing saw that Zhao Fafa was hit by a crab shell and jumped up. Don't call me Zhao bro. Call me Fa bro. Zhao Fafa said with a trembling voice. Okay. Fa bro, what's wrong? Sun Xiaoxing thought. Why was he still thinking about how to address him at this time? He was in a hurry and he was used to calling him Zhao bro. Beat him up. Zhao Fafa didn't expect Lin Yi to attack first. He pointed at Lin Yi and ordered. Beat him up. Sun Xiaoxing heard Zhao Fafa's words and jumped up to order his men. Sun Xiaoxing's men were ready to attack, but they didn't know what to do after Lin Yi injured Zhao Fafa so suddenly. However, Sun Xiaoxing wouldn't make a move. He wasn't good at fighting. He only came out to recruit followers because he borrowed Zhao Fafa's money to get some followers. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A few crab legs flew out and pierced the faces of the men who were going to teach Lin Yi a lesson. The face was one of the most sensitive parts of the human body. Lin Yi's crab legs pierced through the men's faces, and they screamed in pain. Wow, Lin Yi honey, you're so strong. Xiao Xiao said excitedly. But you should have pierced their eyes. What? The underlings who were in so much pain, were planning on beating Lin Yi to death after pulling out the crab legs, but they froze upon hearing Xiao Xiao's words, cold sweat dripping down their foreheads. Pierce their eyes? Wouldn't that make them blind? Earlier they were blinded by the pain and didn't think much about it. But now they suddenly remembered that Lin Yi's aim was very good. The crab shell flew into Zhao Fafa's mouth in an instant, and these crab legs seemed to be very casual, but they were all accurate. Every crab leg hit the target. Therefore these subordinates immediately calmed down. It was true that these people usually fought and bullied the weak, but it didn't mean that they weren't afraid of getting hurt. Moreover, it wasn't an ordinary injury, it was blinding. If the crab's leg was stuck in his eye, he would definitely go blind without a doubt. There was no chance of luck at all. That makes sense. Let's stab the eye sockets then, Lin Yi said as he picked up a few crab legs from the table. Run. The man in front immediately started to retreat. He turned around and ran. He was the person closest to Lin Yi. If Lin Yi threw a crab leg, it would probably hit his eye first. With the first deserter, the others were naturally discouraged. These hooligans who had their faces pierced by the crab's foot ran faster than the other. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the room without a trace. It was true that these people took Zhao Fafa's money, but it was fine for them to eat, drink and play. It was fine to scare the weak occasionally, but it was impossible for them to die or get injured. They weren't idiots. If they didn't run now, when would they run? And so, in an instant, only Zhao Fafa, Sun Xiaoxing and Wu Liuqi were left in the room. Sun Xiaoxing's face was very ugly. He didn't think that his sworn brothers would be so disloyal, running away in a blink of an eye. How could he face Zhao Fafa like this? At this time, the crab shell on Zhao Fafa's face was taken off. His face was full of blood, but it wasn't life-threatening. Zhao Fafa's face was filled with fear. This was the first time he was humiliated since he was crowned as one of the Songshan Four Young Masters. In the past, he didn't need to say anything to threaten people, and they would be scared shitless. This was the first time he met someone like Lin Yi. Wu Liuqi, is this the result of your investigation? Why is this Lin Yi so strong? Zhao Fafa wanted to cry. If he knew that Lin Yi was this ruthless, he wouldn't have thought of doing anything to him. But now that he was humiliated, he had to take revenge. Bro, Lin Yi is only good at fighting alone in school. I've never heard of him using hidden weapons. Wu Liuqi's face was bitter. Lin Yi was famous in school, but that was only in fighting alone. Heibao Bro, Pinliang and Zhou Ruoming all suffered losses, but Wu Liuqi didn't know about this. He didn't even know the difference between golden class masters, and it was impossible for him to know about the conflicts between Lin Yi, Pinliang and Zhou Ruoming. He only saw the surface, but he realized that he was wrong. Lin Yi, I admit that you're better, but it's a small world. This isn't over yet. Zhao Fafa knew that he wouldn't be able to get back at Lin Yi today. He said those words and wanted to leave. From his point of view, Lin Yi wouldn't dare to do anything to him. He was someone with a strong background. Would Lin Yi kill him in front of everyone? Wait, pay the bill first. Lin Yi said faintly. It seemed like he didn't want Zhao Fafa to stay at all. Pay the bill? Lin Yi, don't push me too far. Zhao Fafa's face turned cold as he looked at Lin Yi with hatred. He didn't even have the intention to pay the bill. This concept didn't exist in his dictionary. From his point of view, it was already good enough that he didn't cause trouble for Lin Yi today. Asking him to pay the bill? Push you? Am I pushing you? You're the one who invited me here, aren't you? Lin Yi picked up a crab shell and looked at Zhao Fafa with a smile that wasn't a smile. Lin Yi, honey, you want to throw crab shells again? Alright, throw them on his, but this time. Xiao Xiao said. Zhao Fafa's face darkened. He didn't expect Xiao Xiao to be so evil. She actually used such a dirty trick. He looked at the crab shell in Lin Yi's hand again. Zhao Fafa was really afraid that Lin Yi would throw it out if he didn't like it. Fine. I'll pay. Zhao Fafa gritted his teeth. He decided to endure it today, but there was still time. Zhao Fafa endured the pain in his mouth and asked Sun Xiaoxing to call the waiter. He paid the bill in front of Lin Yi and snorted before leaving the room. Before leaving, Zhao Fafa swore in his heart that he would return the humiliation today 100 times. He was a man with a strong backing. In front of his distant cousin, this Lin Yi was just a piece of trash. All the young masters in Songshan had to give face to his cousin. Zhao Fafa finally felt better after thinking about it. From his point of view, Lin Yi was already someone he could do whatever he wanted to him. Chapter 1309. Lingshan was troubled. How can it be fine? Why don't you put a crab shell on your mouth? Zhao Fafa couldn't help but get angry. You useless piece of trash, these are the men you hired? Dropping the ball at the most crucial moment, giving you 100,000 every month for these ungrateful bastards? Sun Xiaoxing blushed. Bro, you can't blame them, you can only blame that Lin Yi kid for being too cruel. Cruel? I didn't want to ask my cousin for help, but Lin Yi forced me to do it, so don't blame me for being merciless. If my cousin does it, Lin Yi will be crippled even if he doesn't die. Zhao Fafa snorted. Sir, what happened to you? The waiter saw the blood on Zhao Fafa's mouth and quickly reported it to the hotel manager. Since Zhao Fafa was a regular here, the manager took it very seriously. He ran over directly to show his concern for Zhao Fafa. But he didn't know that Zhao Fafa was still holding his anger. He replied angrily after hearing the manager's question. I cut myself on the crab, can't I? Why are you so nosy? What does it have to do with you? The manager was confused by Zhao Fafa's scolding, feeling depressed. He wanted to comfort Zhao Fafa, but he got scolded instead. Then, mister, please have a safe journey? The manager could only turn to Zhao Fafa with a smile on his face. In the room, Lin Yi watched as Xiao Xiao gobbled down the food and he couldn't get tired of it. He didn't know when it started, but watching Xiao Xiao eat had become a pleasure for Lin Yi. Xiao Xiao was a girl who didn't put on airs, and she didn't try to be polite when eating. She loved to eat and she didn't care about the small things. But because of Xiao Xiao's straightforwardness, Linny liked her more and more. "Don't eat too much, we'll take it back later," Linny said. "Seafood is a cold type of food. If you eat it right, it will increase the yin energy in your body and it will cause illness. I don't have long to live anyway. If I don't eat more of my favorite food, it'll be a great loss if I die." Xiao Xiao said nonchalantly but then sighed, "Man, forget it, I won't eat it. I don't want to die this early, I haven't lived enough yet. I'm really happy to be with you guys every day." "Hee, then let's pack it up." Linny said, "We can still have a meal at night." "Yes, I'll listen to you." Xiao Xiao nodded. "Right, Linny honey, what's with that Zhao Fafa?" "Him?" Linny told Xiao Xiao about Zhao Fafa's situation. Linny didn't care about a small fry like this at all. He came with him today because he had nothing better to do and he could even bring Xiao Xiao to a free meal. In fact, it wasn't that Linny couldn't afford the meal, but it was because he was in a different mood. Bringing Xiao Xiao to a free meal made her very excited and happy. This girl really liked to trick people. "Ah, so that's how it is. Linny honey, you know how to trick people now." Xiao Xiao laughed. "Didn't I learn it from you?" Linny smiled. Unknowingly, Lin Yi's personality was changing as well. He was influenced by the people around him, and he was different from before. Lingshan had been very busy these days, and according to Huaijuan's analysis, she'd shifted her focus to the marketplace, sending a large number of police officers to all sorts of industries. There was only one direction to investigate, and that was whether or not someone had been offering high rewards to trick people into doing things for them. With a direction to investigate, the results weren't a problem. Very soon the investigation teams all came back with news, and all the clues pointed to one place: underground fighting arenas. After an investigation by the police, they found that there were indeed people looking for waiters, truck drivers, temporary workers, hotel security guards, construction workers, and so on to have a go at it. They offered a very high price tag with a reward of 100,000 to 200,000. For many people it was a certain temptation. Of course, not everyone took the bait, or there wouldn't be all these clues. Lingshan looked at the reports on the table and finally she felt like the dark clouds had been pushed aside, and she could see the clear sky. There was finally a clue to this case. With this important clue, the rest would be much simpler. She just needed to find the location of the arena. But this arena? Lingshan had never heard of it before, so it should be a new illegal place. Ding ding ding. Lingshan was flipping through the reports when she heard a knock on the door. Lingshan didn't think much about it and said casually, "Come in." "Lingshan, are you busy? Do you have time tonight? Want to have dinner together?" It was Xie Yufeng who had left the school temporarily. He didn't have the face to stay in school anymore after what happened that day. "Yes, I'm busy." Lingshan replied faintly, "There's a case and I have to work overtime tonight. Forget about dinner, we'll talk about it another day." Lingshan didn't have a good attitude towards Yufeng, but she didn't want to completely piss him off. House Yu was a place that House Song couldn't afford to offend at the moment, and she didn't want to bring trouble to her house because of her stubbornness. She could only force herself to play along, hoping that Yufeng would back off. "Is that so? Another day is fine then." Yufeng didn't force her. He sat on the sofa across from Lingshan. "Did you get into some trouble? Do you need help? Just ask, I'll see what I can do." "Sorry, the case is confidential." Lingshan naturally wouldn't say much to Yufeng in case he got involved in her work and life. She wouldn't be able to push him away. I'm just saying." Yufeng felt a little awkward after hearing that, but there was nothing he could do about it. Lingshan's confidential made him stop asking. "I'm going to a meeting now, Mr. Yu, please help yourself," Lingshan said. She didn't want Yufeng to stay in her office any longer. "All right, I'll be going then. I'll come find you when you're done with your work." Yufeng didn't say much, standing up and leaving the office. Yufeng was very experienced when it came to picking up girls, and he had his own way of dealing with cold beauties like Lingshan. That was to keep on pestering her. But he couldn't chase her too tightly. As long as he was shameless, he'd succeed. Chapter 13:10. Lingshan didn't even have the mood to get up and send him off. She didn't know why, but seeing Yufeng made her feel uncomfortable. She felt that he was too fake, that he didn't give her any sense of security at all. It would be a miracle if she had feelings for him. Then she thought of Linny. They were both men, but Linny gave her a completely different feeling. She didn't have a good impression of Linny at first, but that was only limited to the annoyance towards Linny. It was the type where she wanted to fight with Linny whenever she saw him, but it wasn't the type where she hated Linny from the bottom of her heart. Yufeng, on the other hand, was more like disgust. She didn't even want to look at him for a second longer. Now that she thought about it, Lin Yi was very direct sometimes, and didn't know how to make her like him, but she really liked his honest way of speaking. Just thinking about Lin Yi made her heart uneasy. She didn't know why, but she wanted to give Lin Yi a call. Just hearing his voice would make her feel better. Lingshan didn't know if this counted as falling in love with Lin Yi, but she did know that ever since he saved her from the kidney trafficking company's basement, her mentality had changed. She'd given up on everything, and at the same time she'd become attached to Lin Yi. The call went through and she felt a little nervous. What was she supposed to say to Lin Yi? Should she say that she missed him? He'd probably call her Miss Braindead or Miss Idiot if she said that. Hello? Miss Song? What's up? Lin Yi's impression of Lingshan was slowly changing. The two were friends now, and Lin Yi naturally couldn't call her Miss Braindead or Miss Idiot, but calling her Lingshan or Shanshan wasn't something he could bring himself to do. Calling her Miss Song would make them feel distant too. So Lin Yi just changed it to Miss Song. There's something? Lingshan was very happy. It seemed that she'd improved in Lin Yi's impression of her. She'd gone from being an idiot to a little idiot, and now she was a normal girl. Not bad, not bad. What is it? Hurry up and tell me, I'm driving. Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao had just come out of the Tyrant Fish seafood restaurant and were on their way to school. It's like this. Didn't I tell you before about the missing people? Recently, there's been a lot of people from all walks of life disappearing mysteriously, Lingshan said. According to my investigation, it's probably an underground boxing ring that's tricking these people into boxing. So, I wanted to ask you if you know anything about the underground boxing ring. I don't know, Lin Yi said subconsciously before pausing. Wait, what did you say? Underground boxing ring? Yeah, you know about it? Lingshan asked happily. She'd sent people to investigate, but there was no news about the underground boxing ring. But this wasn't a surprise. Jianghu's underground boxing ring had passed the initial stage of promotion, and there was no need for that anymore. It was full of customers every day, and the regulars would introduce themselves to each other. The business would only get better and better, and there was no need for promotion. Boxing was illegal in the first place, and so these people wouldn't talk about it casually. They wouldn't tell people they weren't familiar with either. It was only natural that Lingshan couldn't find anything. I know, but I'll ask around for the specifics. Wait for my call, Lin Yi said. Lingshan's words reminded Lin Yi of the person who gave out the flyers, and then Gooden barged into the ring himself and finished off that fighterly with one punch. Finding the location of the underground boxing ring wasn't a hard thing for Lin Yi. Okay, I'll wait for your call then. Lingshan was so happy that she wanted to cheer. Lin Yi really was her lucky star. One phone call was all it took to find a clue. Lin Yi was so awesome. Every time there was a problem, she could find the answer with Lin Yi. Hanging up the phone, Lingshan stretched lazily. Her seductive posture was enough to mesmerize anyone, but no one was able to see it. She would only show this expression in front of Lin Yi after all. Her usual self was that of someone who'd been through a lot. Gooden didn't have a phone, but Yuan did. He'd been hanging out with Yuan these days, and Lin Yi didn't interfere. Gooden wouldn't be staying in Songshan for long, and he'd have to go back to West Star Village for sure. He finally found a love, and Lin Yi didn't want to disturb them. Gooden's mission was done, and the potion was sent over. Lin Yi had planned to take him around the city to play, but Gooden would be more than happy to play with Yuan now. After getting the address, Lin Yi called Lingshan again. Miss Song, remember the address? Okay. Lingshan didn't expect Lin Yi to get the answer so quickly. She nodded and took out a pen and paper. Tell me, the address is. Lin Yi told her the address. The opponent might have a master in the arena. There was a mystic physical practitioner before, but my friend killed him. I don't know if there's still one left. Just plan first. Oh? They have a mystic? Lingshan didn't expect that there would be a master like that in an arena. I heard that it was a fighter in charge, but he's dead now. Don't worry, I'm just worried that they still have a master like that. Lin Yi said. Just be careful. I understand. Don't worry, I won't do anything reckless. Hearing Lin Yi's concern filled Lingshan's heart. She was so happy that she didn't know where she was anymore. If they really do have a master, give me a call and I'll go help you. Lin Yi said after a sigh. With their current relationship, Lin Yi couldn't just watch Lingshan do something dangerous. Lin Yi didn't want to be a busybody, but he still reminded her. All right, I got it. Lingshan said, smiling happily. Chapter 13:11. Free spokesperson. However, less than 15 minutes after Lin Yi hung up, his phone rang again. Lin Yi thought it was Lingshan, so he picked it up without looking. Little girl, what's up? Little girl? The person on the other side of the phone paused. Lin Yi could tell that it wasn't Lingshan's voice too. You are? I'm not little girl. I'm Su Shirhan. Shirhan was speechless. Why was this guy so vulgar? Calling someone little girl just because he picked up the phone? If she didn't know Lin Yi's personality, she would have thought he was a pervert. Oh, that's little girl too. Little girl Su, what's up? Lin Yi said casually, not expecting Shirhan to call him. Su Shirhan was speechless. But whatever, so be it. She really was a little girl, wasn't she? Shirhan didn't care about the title. You said you'd help me make some headache medicine? I'm free today, so I'll go get it and take a picture with your friends. Shirhan's concert in Songshan had ended, and she was preparing to go to another city to continue her concert. So before she left, she wanted to say goodbye to Lin Yi and get some headache medicine. These few days, Shirhan's manager, Wang Sis, had contacted Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company and told them that Shirhan was going to be a free spokesperson. Fatty Lai was confused at first. A superstar that couldn't be hired even with money, why did she want to be a spokesperson for free? And so, Fatty Lai suspected Wang Sis's identity. Was she a scammer? But after Wang Sis's explanation, Fatty Lai realized that Shirhan was Lin Yi's patient. Wang Sis didn't hide Su Shirhan's illness from Fatty Lai. Lin Yi and Xuemin both knew about it, so there was no need to hide it from Fatty Lai. Fatty Lai finally understood. It was because of this. So, Fatty Lai didn't feel like he owed Su Shirhan anything by letting her be the spokesperson for free. How much could the endorsement fee be? One had to know that when Lin Yi treated patients with difficult-to-treat diseases, he would charge at least 10 million yuan. And so, Fatty Lai called Su Shirhan over and ordered her around, shooting promotional videos, shooting as many as he could. He even changed the packaging of Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine to a new one, with Su Shirhan's picture on it. They even added a slogan, "Do you want to have the flawless skin of a superstar? Please use Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine to heal the wound perfectly without leaving a scar." Even Wang Sis couldn't stand it anymore. Since when did Su Shirhan get ordered around like a servant? Even with such a high endorsement fee, they didn't shoot so many commercials and films. Wasn't this treating people too lightly? But Su Shirhan smiled and shook her head, indicating that it was nothing. Su Shirhan felt that since Lin Yi treated her as a friend and treated her for free, she should return the favor. Since they were friends, there was no need to be calculative. And Su Shirhan felt that the people around Lin Yi were the same as him. They didn't treat superstars as anything. She was pretty and cute, but this Fatty Lai acted like he didn't see her at all, talking to her with his eyes rolling around, thinking of ways to squeeze all of her value out of her. Of course, what Su Shirhan didn't know was that Fatty Lai had already treated her as Lin Yi's spare tire. Who knew when she would become his official girlfriend? Fatty Lai wouldn't have any thoughts about his sister-in-law. But Miracle Dr. Guan's painkiller hadn't been mass-produced yet. There were only a few samples in the company. If Su Shirhan wanted it, she would have to get it from Lin Yi. Today? That's good. Lin Yi didn't have anything to do. I bought a bunch of seafood from the restaurant. Come eat with us. Seafood? Su Shirhan froze, but she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, tell me the address. I'll go there now. The address is Seaview Villa Bay. Lin Yi told Su Shirhan the address. If you can't find it, use the GPS. Okay, wait for me. It was rare for Su Shirhan to have a friend, and they didn't have any ulterior motives. This made Su Shirhan feel at ease playing with them. Otherwise, it would be hard for Su Shirhan to have a close friend. Most women approached her because of her aura, while men approached her because they wanted dirty things. But Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao were different. Both of them were nice, and after interacting with Fatty Lai, Su Shirhan realized that Lin Yi's friends were nice as well. The friends Lin Yi wanted to take photos with were probably nice too. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's arrogant personality, it would be hard for him to accept others. After hanging up, Xiao Xiao asked impatiently, "Lin Yi honey, is Su Shirhan coming?" "Yeah. She'll come to get the medicine later. You guys can play together." Lin Yi seemed to think that Su Shirhan coming to his house was a normal thing. If it were someone else, they'd be excited when a celebrity came to their house. That's great. Then we'll sing karaoke at home and let Su Shirhan sing for us. Xiao Xiao said excitedly. I'll call Tang Yun sis right now. We'll go get her. Lin Yi wasn't a fan, so he didn't understand how Su Shirhan's fans felt. Xiao Xiao told the exciting news to Meng Yao and Yushu as soon as they got home. Tang Yun was happy too, but she wasn't as lively as Xiao Xiao. She only smiled and greeted Meng Yao and Yushu. Tang Yun had become a regular in the villa, and she didn't feel restricted here. Then should we prepare some food for Su Shirhan tonight? Meng Yao was the owner of the villa. She couldn't neglect a guest. What's more, this guest was a superstar. Don't bother, I brought back a bunch of seafood. Linny raised the big bag of food in his hand. I bought it from Tyrant Fish Seafood Restaurant. There was an idiot who treated us today. Idiot? Mengyao was confused. An idiot who wants to chase after Tang Yun, Linny explained simply, but Linny was too lazy to say anything about Zhao Fafa. Su Shirhan came as soon as she said she would. Lin Yi and the others were talking when the doorbell rang. Evidently, Su Shirhan was ready to leave after the call. They weren't familiar with the roads, but Lin Yi had to go get Tang Yun for a while. Chapter 13:12. Chapter 13:10. Sadness. Su Shirhan didn't wear much this time, probably because she came straight to Lin Yi's place and didn't go anywhere else, so she didn't need to wear anything. Han, you're so pretty today. Xiao Xiao was quite familiar with Su Shirhan by now. You're pretty too. Su Shirhan smiled. Don't just stand there, come in. The group welcomed Su Shirhan in, and Xiao Xiao introduced Yushu, Tang Yun and Mengyao to Su Shirhan. They're all my good friends, like bosom friends. Of course, Xiao Xiao didn't tell them that Tang Yun was Lin Yi's boyfriend. There was no need to tell an outsider about this sort of thing. For now, Tang Yun's identity was just Lin Yi's good friend. Otherwise it'd be too complicated. Lin Yi nodded to Su Shirhan and took out a bag of painkillers. Here, this should last you a while. I just got here and you're giving it to me? You're not kicking me out, are you? Su Shirhan took the medicine and joked. I'm just afraid I'll forget. Lin Yi said faintly. There's takeaway food in the kitchen. Go eat if you're hungry. If there's nothing else, you guys have fun. I'm going back to my room. Lin Yi didn't want to join in the fun with Su Shirhan. With a celebrity girl, Lin Yi couldn't think of anything to do with her. Xiao Xiao and the others could ask about Su Shirhan's privacy, but Lin Yi wasn't interested at all. In Lin Yi's eyes, Su Shirhan was no different from a stranger. Who would be interested in a stranger's privacy? Su Shirhan looked at Lin Yi's nonchalant face and couldn't help but roll her eyes. She didn't feel like a celebrity at all here. But it was precisely because of this that Su Shirhan didn't have her usual nervousness and vigilance. It was like she was home, she could relax. As for Mengyao, Tang Yun and Yushu's questions, Su Shirhan basically answered all of them. After all, Su Shirhan didn't have anything to hide. Other than a headache, it wasn't a big deal. Shahan, do you have a boyfriend? Missy also became a little gossipy. After all, these were the things that the fans were most concerned about. Su Shirhan's boyfriend, on the other hand, was the focus of the media. Some fans had tried to match him up, but it was proven that it was just a misunderstanding. Su Shirhan had always been single. But even if she was single, a lot of fans didn't believe it. They all thought that there was an invisible boyfriend behind Su Shirhan. It was just that no one noticed. Not yet, hee, I'm really not lying, I'm not lying. Shirhan smiled. She knew that they would ask these questions. So you're still a virgin? Yushu's questions were always powerful. Yes. Su Shirhan blushed and sighed. Lin Yi's friends were really not ordinary people. Oh, so you really are a pure and innocent girl. Yushu liked Su Shirhan even more. Lin Yi listened to the girl's gossipy questions. He couldn't help but shake his head and went back to his room. At night, other than the seafood that Lin Yi brought back from the restaurant, Lin Yi cooked a few more dishes. Although a bunch of seafood was enough, Su Shirhan was still a guest. Lin Yi didn't want the Missy and the others to lose face. Su Shirhan ate the dishes Lin Yi cooked. She was amazed. She never thought that Lin Yi could cook. And it was so delicious. He was even more professional than her housekeeper? Your cooking is really good. It seems like your friend is lucky. Su Shirhan praised. Han, if you like it, come here more often. You're always welcome here. Mengyao was the owner of the villa. It was a good time to speak. I wanted to, Yao Yao, but I won't be staying in Songshan for long. I'll be leaving soon. Shirhan said regretfully. But if I'm free, I'll come and play with you guys. It's fun to be with you guys. There's no pressure. That's great. You'll come more often. Yushu said happily. Man, yeah, you have to come or else I'll die. Xiao Xiao said pitifully. Don't say that. Your boyfriend's medical skills are so good. He'll definitely find a way. Shirhan said. I hope so. Xiao Xiao sighed. All right, let's not talk about this. Let's eat. Lin Yi didn't want to continue on this topic. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. He didn't have a good solution either. He could only take it one step at a time. After dinner, under Yushu's suggestion, the group started singing karaoke. The Miss House's sound system wasn't inferior to a KTV, and the house was decorated with the highest quality appliances. Su Shirhan adjusted the sound and was very satisfied with it. At first, Su Shirhan sang for everyone, but later on, everyone took turns to sing. What surprised Su Shirhan was that everyone's voice was pretty good, not inferior to her own. With a little training they would have the potential to become stars. Lin Yi sat on the sofa and listened to the girls singing. It was a very warm feeling. This kind of comfortable life was something Lin Yi didn't dare to imagine before. If he thought about this day, Lin Yi wouldn't have rejected Ning, which caused Lin Yi to brood over it until now. But he missed it. Some things couldn't go back to the past. Plus, the relationship between Lin Yi and House Yu was very tense. Were the hidden House Yu and House Yu on the same side? But no matter what, Lin Yi knew that it was impossible for him to marry Ning right now. The requirements to enter the hidden House Yu were very high, and they had high hopes for Ning. They raised her as a member of House Yu. How could normal people enter House Yu's eyes? Lin Yi was only a golden class and now he was only a mystic. House Yu on the other hand had a sky class. This was also the reason why Lin Yi felt inferior. Not only could he not give Yu Ning a stable life, but he also couldn't fight against House Yu. Thinking about the past, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. But thinking about the life he had now with Tang Yun by his side and Xiao Xiao as a happy person, Lin Yi didn't regret it. No matter what happened, Tang Yun wouldn't leave him. This was the person who would accompany him for life. A sad song pulled Lin Yi back from his thoughts. It was a classic song and Xiao Xiao was slowly singing it out of her mouth. Chapter 13:13. Don't cry, my most loved one. Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Xiao Xiao. The atmosphere in the living room quietened down as well. Everyone's emotions were affected by Xiao Xiao. Don't cry, my most loved one. Tonight I'm like a flower blooming, falling in the most beautiful moment. Your tears can't bring me back. Don't cry, my most loved one, I'll never wake up. Blinking in the most beautiful night, my eyes are the brightest stars. Do you remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before, don't tell me what eternity is, I'll die in the most beautiful moment. This song was called Don't Cry, My Most Loved One, and the lyrics were very similar to Xiao Xiao's current situation. This was Xiao Xiao's favorite song, but she rarely sang it in front of people. Now, everyone in the room was her friends and they all knew about her body's condition. This song was actually for them all. Do you remember when I said proudly, I've been to this world before, don't tell me what maturity is, I'll die in the moment it starts. Everyone was affected by Xiao Xiao's emotions and started humming along. Xiao Xiao's face was full of smiles, but her tears couldn't help but flow down her cheeks. She knew that she was definitely going to die this time. Lin Yi kept telling her that he'd think of something, but it wasn't that easy to think of something. If there really was a way, her mother wouldn't have died. These days Xiao Xiao didn't show it, but it was obvious that her body wasn't as good as before. Every night she'd be woken up by a chill, but it was summer right now. Xiao Xiao knew that it was the cold energy in her body being released during her sleep, and so she knew that she didn't have much time left. It should be in the next few days. Today Xiao Xiao was using this song as her last words to tell everyone she loved. The people in this room were all people she cared about, including Shirhan, who she'd just met. They'd only known each other for a short while, but it felt like they'd known each other for a long time. The Miss Tang Yun and Shu's eyes were all wet. Shirhan's eyes were red as well. If someone else were to sing this song, it wouldn't be a big deal, but Xiao Xiao was singing it, and everyone could understand the meaning behind it. Although Lin Yi did not cry, his heart was still very heavy. He wondered if there was any news from the old man. Who was that medical sage? Would he be able to find his medical notes? After the song, Xiao Xiao wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and smiled at everyone. What's wrong with you guys? Why does it seem so dull? Is it because I don't sing well? How many points can I get? Haha, you sang very well. Tang Yun forced a smile and said. Meng Yao and Yushu laughed and clapped as well while Shirhan stood up. I was too engrossed in it, didn't I? I think it's even better than me. Haha, really? Looks like I can be a singer too. Xiao Xiao said happily. Su Shirhan stayed there until late into the night. Only after Wang Jie called her did she reluctantly leave. The next concert would be held in the city tomorrow. It was time to prepare for the next concert. With the painkiller from Lin Yi, Shirhan didn't have to worry about anything happening, especially since the painkiller was in the form of medicine. Shirhan could put it in a bottle and drink it when she had a headache as if she was drinking water and no one would notice. House Kong was in a mess. A piece of news hit them like a bolt from the blue, making Kong Greifeng and Xiaolong's eyes go wide as they stared at the storehouse full of Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine. Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine changed its packaging. The market had all changed to the new packaging with Shirhan's picture, and the old version was almost extinct. But there were still mountains of it in House Kang's storehouse. That old bastard, why did he change the packaging for no reason? Isn't this a scam? Kang Guifeng didn't know what to do as he looked at the storehouse full of medicine. Xiaolong thought to himself, "You're right, they're scamming your dad, scamming my grandpa. The most important thing right now is to sell the goods at a low price, even if it's 10 points lower than the market price. We can still sell it when the market is changing its packaging. If we wait any longer, it'll all be gone." Xiaolong sighed. "That's the only way. Should we tell your grandpa about this?" Kang Guifeng asked. "Let's tell him we can't hide it anyway." But this mistake has given Kang Mingming more credit. One wrong step, all the wrong steps. I made a mistake back then and it caused such a huge loss. Xiaolong smiled bitterly. Dr. Kang was listening to a storyteller at home when he heard Kang Guifeng's report. He almost fainted from anger. What? They'd already lost 5 points to sell the goods and now they had to lose 10 points? How much money would that be wasted? Plus, it wasn't just a problem of losing money. If they couldn't sell enough, they'd lose all the medicine they had. You two useless bastards. Dr. Kang was shaking with anger as he pointed at Kang Guifeng and Xiaolong. Look at what you've done. If you'd listened to Xiaoming earlier, you wouldn't have ended up like this. House Kang was ruined by you. That. Kang Guifeng wanted to say that although they came up with the idea, you were still the one who made the final decision. You agreed with our point of view too. If you'd agreed with Kang Mingming's point of view, this wouldn't have happened, right? But he couldn't say that out loud. If he did, it would make Dr. Kang even angrier. Kang Guifeng could only lower his head and endure the abuse from Dr. Kang. Go get Xiaoming, you bastards. Dr. Kang was a very vulgar person, cursing whenever he was angry. Fuck your grandma, you little bastards. Kang Guifeng and Kang Mingming were speechless. Kang Guifeng thought, fuck my grandma? Isn't that your mom? If we're little bastards, then aren't you an old bastard? Chapter 13-14. Unlucky Dr. Kang Xiaolong was a scheming man, and as much as he didn't want to admit defeat, he knew that he'd lose more points in a situation where he was at a disadvantage. After a few fruitless attempts at shirking responsibility, Xiaolong began to adjust his situation. Temporary tolerance was for the sake of becoming stronger and more powerful in the future. Kang Mingming called it a search for the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, but he was actually going out to have fun and pick up girls. The recipe wasn't that easy to find after all. He didn't have any leads on it yet, so he used this as an excuse to have some fun. When he got the call from Xiaolong saying that something big had happened at home, Kang Mingming didn't dare tarry and rushed back from the dinner table. He didn't get along with Xiaolong, but he still had to rush back to House Kang. Kang Mingming was a spoiled brat, but he wasn't an idiot. If House Kang were to be destroyed, how could he, Kang Mingming, live a good life? But when Kang Mingming got back to House Kang and found out what had happened, he let out a sigh of relief. He'd thought that it was something big and that they'd lost some money, but it wasn't a devastating blow to House Kang. Plus, Kang Ming was secretly happy. This was all Xiaolong's doing, and now he'd disappointed his grandpa more and more. The future head of House Kang was going to be him, Kang Mingming. Kang Mingming could even imagine the amazing life he'd been living. After becoming the head of House Kang, he'd had women on his left and right eating, drinking, and having fun. No one could control him, but he could control others. It was the life of an immortal. But on the surface, Kang Mingming still spoke with pain. This is a big deal. But what's done is done, and now's not the time to look into it. Uncle and brother didn't do it on purpose, and they didn't want this to happen. Fortunately, we only lost some money and there were no other big problems. Otherwise, our Kang family would not be able to bear the torment. Although Kang Mingming said that he wouldn't pursue the matter, it was obvious that he was blaming Kang Guifeng and Kang Xiaolong for this. Xiaoming, House Kang will accept the loss, but now that Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine is selling so well, it severely affected the sales of our Dr. Kang's golden creation. Those pharmacies that used to beg us to supply them all seem to have disappeared, and they don't even ask for our medicine anymore. Dr. Kang smiled bitterly. I'm afraid that the medical market will soon belong to Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Fortunately, they still had the support of the military orders, but how long could they last? I'm afraid that Guan Shuamin will snatch this order away from us. If that happens, the Kang family will be facing a life and death crisis. Dr. Kang's words were serious, but if House Kang continued to develop like this, it might really become a reality. Xiaolong, Kang Ming, and Kang Guifeng all had worried expressions on their faces. As the saying goes, when the nest is overturned, no eggs remain intact. If House Kang were to collapse, they wouldn't be able to fight for the position of head of the house. So at this moment, the three of them let go of their competitive mentality and lowered their heads with a heavy heart. The reason I called you here is to discuss what our Kang family should do. How should we deal with it? House Kang's future isn't looking good. Dr. Kang sighed. What do you think we should do? Kang Guifeng and Xiaolong looked at each other. They didn't have any good ideas. House Kang's foundation was too weak. They only had the formula for golden creation, and they didn't have any other special effects medicine. If this product was replaced by someone else, then House Kang would have no more products to rely on. House Kang's medicine factory also produced common medicines for headaches and colds, but those were all common formulations. There were too many manufacturers and it wasn't easy to do business. In the past, with Dr. Kang's Golden Creation's reputation, these medicines could be sold, but now that Dr. Kang's Golden Creation wasn't doing so well, the sales of these medicines were no different from those of a small medicine factory. They wouldn't starve to death, but it was impossible for House Kang to be as prosperous as it was now. They could only become a normal house, let alone become a noble house. Grandpa, I feel like this is still up to me. I feel that I have a great responsibility. If I can get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, then everything will be solved. Kang Ming said after some thought. In fact, he didn't know what else to say. That's right. Xiaoming is right. How about it? Are you confident? Dr. Kang nodded in satisfaction. I've been drinking with friends these past few days trying to get to know them better. This can't be rushed, we can only wait and see. After all, the formula is a secret, and it'll be hard to get it through normal means. Kang Ming said. That's true. Keep it up. Dr. Kang said. From today onwards, you can use all the resources of House Kang, but you must give it your all to find the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. No problem, I understand. Kang Ming nodded. Kang Ming was overjoyed when he heard this decision. Did this mean that he was starting to exercise his authority as the young head of the house? He was about to become the young head of the house? Dr. Kang's words made Xiaolong's heart sink. Even though he'd been chosen as the heir by his grandfather, he hadn't given him this many resources, but now Xiaolong was angry but he couldn't refute it. His only hope now was that Kang Ming messed this up and couldn't get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But if he couldn't get the formula, then House Kang would be done for. With House Kang's current situation, if they didn't have a powerful formula, then House Kang would never be able to recover. And so Xiaolong was conflicted. On one hand he hoped that Kang Ming would fail, but on the other hand he didn't want him to fail. If Kang Ming failed, then what was the point of becoming the head of House Kang? It was just a small house, there was no sense of achievement at all. But if Kang Ming succeeded, then Kang Ming would be the head of House Kang. How could he let Kang Ming get the formula, but not become the head of House Kang? Xiaolong started thinking in his mind. He had to find a way that would satisfy both sides. Chapter 13-15. Kang Ming may be a spoiled brat, but he wasn't an idiot. Normal people wouldn't know such an important recipe. It was a business secret even more serious than a top secret. If this recipe were to be leaked, it would shock all the noble houses. Although Kang Xiaoming agreed with full confidence, it was a bit difficult to actually execute the plan. He was very clear about his own capabilities. He used the old method of bribing Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's vice president, Kang Xiaobo, to get the Golden Creation medicine's formula. But this method wouldn't work on Guan Shuamin. There was no way Guan Shuamin would give the recipe to him. Wouldn't he be an idiot then? So Kang Ming had to use other methods. But for someone like Shuamin, unless he was willing, there was no way he would just hand over the recipe. If he managed to get Guan Xan, he could order her to steal the recipe. Kang Ming was confident. From Kang Ming's point of view, women in love were blind and stupid. Wasn't Xiaofan the same? But Guan Xan was already engaged since she was young, and Kang Ming had no chance at all. Guan Xan was a girl who was already engaged. It was impossible for her to interact with other men before marriage. This made Kang Ming feel helpless. He couldn't get his hands on Guan Xan or Guan Shuamin. It was a little worrying. Kang Xiaoming was worried, but he didn't show it. He quietly left House Kang and went to find Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubin to discuss a solution. Xiaolong, on the other hand, watched Kang Ming's back as he left. He had to do something. Kang Ming had to succeed in finding the recipe, but how could he let him give up the position of head of the house after he succeeded? This was a difficult problem. Xiaolong fell into deep thought. After finding out the exact location of the arena, Lingshan gathered a large number of police officers and surrounded the arena without anyone noticing. But as secretive as Lingshan's movements were, the underground arena's defenses were still very tight. Ever since Air Guden caused a scene in the arena, Zhengwen was a little scared. If he let someone like that come a few more times, then there'd be no point in opening the arena anymore. They'd all be killed. And so, Jianghu had Scorpion's men pretend to be passers-by and set up traps at the main roads of the arena. Naturally, the traps would alert Scorpion the moment the police cars arrived. Young Master Wen, it's not good, there's a large number of police heading towards the underground arena. Scorpion was shocked when he heard the report from his underlings. What? The police are here? Jianghu was shocked. Seriously? How did the police find this place? I don't know, maybe someone leaked the information. Scorpion was troubled as well. He knew that this day would come, but wasn't it a little too fast? His mission was to be the scapegoat for Jianghu's crimes. He'd take responsibility for all the crimes that happened in the arena. As for his family, everything had already been arranged, so Scorpion was mentally prepared. It was just that he hadn't had enough yet. But now, even if he didn't want to, he had to stand out. He knew how cruel the firewolves were. If he were to hand Jianghu over, then his family would be attacked severely by the firewolves. So, he had to take on all the crimes himself. Of course, in the arena, only Scorpion, the professor, and the dead fighter Li knew Jianghu's identity. No one else had seen Jianghu before, and they didn't even know of his existence. Because of this, it was easy for Jianghu to get away with it. Scorpion, I'll leave the rest to you. I'll leave with the professor first. Jianghu sighed and decided to give up. He'd earned quite a bit of money from the underground arena recently, and it was enough. He had to let go when it was time. Don't worry, Master Wen, I know what to do. Scorpion gritted his teeth. Master Wen, you and the professor should escape. But at this time Xiao Luozi's phone rang again. Xiao Luozi didn't dare to delay and quickly picked it up. But after listening to the caller's words, his face changed. What's wrong? Jianghu's face didn't look right. Master Wen, it's bad. The police have surrounded the arena. I'm afraid you and the professor won't be able to escape. Scorpion said. We can only activate the second plan. Okay, we need to hurry. Jianghu nodded and said decisively. While the police haven't barged in, we'll apply for a break in the middle of the fight and substitute the professor and me? Lingshan arranged all the police forces and made sure that the people in the arena couldn't escape. She immediately ordered. Lu Wangli, bring a squad with me to arrest the suspect. Yes, Captain Song. Captain Song. Wang Li immediately brought his men and followed behind Lingshan. The door of the casino opened abruptly, and Lingshan brought a group of police officers into the arena. Of course, what Lingshan didn't know was that there were thugs patrolling the arena's entrance, but in order to not arouse Lingshan's suspicions, Scorpion ordered the thugs to leave the place quietly. Otherwise, Lingshan wouldn't have wasted the time to arrange the police force if she'd seen someone guarding the door. She'd have gone straight into the arena and grabbed the thugs at the door, giving Jianghu and the professor no time to set up their plans. Don't move, we're the police. Spectators, don't move. Stay in your seats, don't try to escape or resist. Lingshan rushed in and used the megaphone to speak to the spectators. The spectators jumped when they saw the police rush into the arena. Some of them, naturally, wanted to run away, but after hearing Lingshan's words and seeing the armed police behind her, they immediately gave up on the idea of running away. After all, they were just spectators here to watch the fight and gamble. This arena had nothing to do with them, so the punishment wouldn't be too severe. They sat down obediently. Chapter 13:16. Officer Song, it's me. You're finally here. Help me out. I don't want to fight. They forced me to fight. The green-masked boxer suddenly shouted. He waved his hands and shouted for help in the ring. Help, Officer Song. This sudden turn of events startled Lingshan. How did this boxer know her? After the green-masked boxer finished, the white-masked boxer opposite him started yelling as well. Ah? Is the police here? That was great. Help me too, I'm regretting it. I don't want to fight anymore, I don't want the money anymore, I want my life. You guys take care of the audience and notify Team 2 to come in. Search for the organizer, I'll go take a look at these two boxers. Lingshan felt that the green-masked boxer's voice was very familiar. All right, Captain Song. Lu Wangli nodded. During the analysis of the case, everyone had come to the same conclusion. The underground arena used illegal methods such as seduction, kidnapping, and other methods to get people to fight, so the two boxers in the ring should be victims as well. They weren't dangerous, and Lu Wangli wasn't worried about Lingshan getting into trouble alone. Plus, Lingshan was a golden-class late-phase peak, there was nothing to be afraid of. Lingshan walked up and looked at the two boxers in the ring. May I ask who you are? Why are you fighting here? Officer Song, it's me. The green-masked boxer pulled off his mask, revealing his face. It was Jianghu. Jiang Wen's face was on the verge of tears. I'm Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen? Why are you here? Why did you come here? Ling Shan naturally was familiar with Jiang Wen. He was one of the victims of the kidney trafficking company, but why was he here? How could he be so miserable? I went to the hospital to get my kidneys checked and someone told me that he knew a folk doctor who could cure my kidneys and restore my manhood, so I came. Jiang Wen said with a pained face. Only when I got here did I realize that I'd been tricked. They gave me a stimulant shot and told me to fight on the stage, telling me that if I didn't want to die, I'd be beaten to death. Fuck, I was scared to death. Ling Shan looked at Jiang Wen sympathetic. Why was this guy so unlucky? How could he be arrested for looking at a kidney? Ling Shan's face darkened when he said things like weak kidneys and masculinity. Okay, it's fine now. Come with me to the police station to make a statement. Ling Shan, on the other hand, didn't doubt Jiang Wen's words. After all, Jiang Wen was a fighter and he stood in the ring. From what she knew, a young master like Jiang Wen wouldn't fight in the ring no matter how much money was offered. It was a joke with his life. Me, officer, I was tricked here. A blonde told me that he'd give me 200,000 if I did some bodybuilding, but I didn't expect it to be a fighter. I'm not fighting anymore, I'll lose my life if I keep fighting. The person speaking was the white-masked man who was actually the professor. He and Jiang Wen went on the stage to replace the two fighters, and since the police had rushed into the arena, the audience didn't realize that the fighters had been replaced. Of course, they weren't paying attention to it. They couldn't even protect themselves, so how could they have the time to study the people on the stage? Plus, the people on the stage were all wearing masks and they were so far away. No one could tell if the fighters had been replaced or not. Jiang Wen and the professor made use of this to put on a good show of escaping on the stage like a cicada slipping out of its shell. Okay, you'll come with me to the police station to make a statement. Ling Shan nodded. Jiang Wen and the professor sighed in relief after hearing Ling Shan's words, but it wasn't Ling Shan's fault. In the entire arena, other than the dead fighter Li, only Scorpion knew about Jiang Wen and the professor's identities. Scorpion, however, wouldn't tell anyone about it. At this moment, Scorpion was brought out without any resistance. His face was very calm as this moment would come sooner or later. The underground arena was completely destroyed in one night. In the interrogation room, little Scorpion didn't resist at all. He confessed all the crimes he committed. As for the whereabouts of the underground arena's funds, little Scorpion revealed an international gang. This gang was the Fire Wolf Gang's enemy, so little Scorpion didn't mind using this opportunity to create some trouble for them. Of course, the Firewolves had already taken care of the details, and they couldn't find any problems with the bank accounts. For a large criminal organization like the Fire Wolf Gang, it was easy to create this kind of fake evidence. It was not difficult at all. So, even if Ling Shan and the others did a thorough investigation, they wouldn't be able to link it to Jiang Wen, the professor, or even the Firewolves. The destruction of the underground boxing arena had no effect on most people. Only those who had gambled in the underground boxing arena had received varying degrees of punishment. Life went on, but Xiao Xiao was getting lazier and lazier. She couldn't seem to wake up and she didn't want to go to school either. She stayed at home and didn't want to go out. She turned on the heater in her bedroom, covered in a thick blanket, and sneezed non-stop. Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Tang Yun were all worried, but there was nothing they could do. The cold energy in Xiao Xiao's body was getting stronger and stronger, invading her entire body. That was why she felt so cold on a hot day like this. Knowing that she didn't have much time left, Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Tang Yun all stopped going to school. They stayed in the villa to spend the last years of her life with Xiao Xiao. They'd finished their high school courses a long time ago, and it was revision time now. With the Miss Shu and Tang Yun's self-learning abilities, it wouldn't be a problem even if they didn't go to school. The three of them had their own specialties and they could complement each other. Xiao Xiao, what are you doing? Tang Yun looked curiously at Xiao Xiao fiddling with the yarn. I want to knit a sweater for Shield Bro, Xiao Xiao said. I want to leave something for him as a souvenir, but I don't think I can last that long. I'll die before I finish, so I think I should knit a scarf. But I'm afraid I won't be able to finish it. Chapter 13-17. It's fine, I'll do it myself. Xiao Xiao shook her head, rejecting Yushu for the first time. This was her gift to Lin Yi, and she didn't want anyone else's help. How stingy. Yushu wasn't too happy about the rejection. BSP, Shu, stop messing around. Xiao Xiao's right, let her do it herself. Only the things she weaves with her own hands have meaning. If you want it, you can weave one yourself. Meng Yao said. Oh. Yushu nodded and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi sat on the side feeling down. This was the first time Lin Yi felt so helpless. Before, no matter what happened, Lin Yi would always think of a way to solve it, but now he couldn't think of anything. Just when Lin Yi was at his wit's end, old Lin's call finally came. "Old man, you finally called." Lin Yi was excited. Lin Yi's only hope was on old Lin. "That ancient medicine saint you mentioned last time, is there any news?" "I did, but it's bad news." Old man Lin sighed and said, "Don't be too sad when I say it. I found it, but why is it still bad news? Could it be that the fire spirit's fruit doesn't exist?" Lin Yi paused and asked worriedly. "Whether it exists or not, I can't say for sure, but I've never seen it before." Old Lin said, "This ancient medicine saint is called Jianghu. I've confirmed that it's him, but his medical notes weren't passed down to the world. It said that he brought it to his grave, so this trail ends here." "What? Jianghu?" Lin Yi heard the words and gasped. "You're saying that his medical notes might be in his grave?" "Yes, why are you so excited?" Old Lin didn't understand. "Of course I'm excited." Lin Yi laughed heartily. He wasn't unfamiliar with the name Zhang Liju. He'd heard it more than once from Wuxia and Lingshan. The tomb Lingshan was going to, wasn't it the holy Dr. Zhang's tomb? According to old Lin's deduction, Zhang Liju's medical notes hadn't been passed down to the world, which meant that it was most likely in his grave. In ancient times, people had the mindset that the teacher would starve to death if the student was taught. Even the kindest person would have this sort of concern, and so a lot of knowledge and culture was lost. So, if this Zhang Liju had the medical notes, then it was possible that it was in his tomb. "You know this Zhang Liju too?" Old Lin could sense something from Lin Yi's craziness. "Yes, and not only that, I also know where his tomb is." Lin Yi didn't expect that things would suddenly take a turn for the better. It was a complete coincidence that he had lent a helping hand, but it had led to this opportunity. "Are you for real?" Old Lin was in disbelief. "Of course, it's actually a bit of a coincidence. It's like this." Lin Yi told old Lin about how he saved Bodyguard. "I didn't think that you would have this kind of opportunity. Perhaps the heavens don't want Xiao Xiao to have such a tragic life." Old Lin sighed, "But you need to be prepared. Let's not talk about whether or not there's medical notes in Zhang Liju's grave. Even if the medical notes really exist, you might not be able to find something as legendary as the fire spirit's fruit." "Oh? What do you mean?" Lin Yi frowned. Old Lin's words were like a bucket of cold water splashing down on him. Lin Yi calmed down instantly and he wasn't as excited as before. Yeah, it was hard to say if the medical notes existed or not. What was there to be happy about? First of all, it's hard to say if the notes would mention where the fire spirit's fruit grows. Old Lin explained. Secondly, even if it did, how many years has it been since Zhang Liju died? Whether or not the fire spirit's fruit exists is another matter altogether. It's better than nothing. As long as there's hope, I'll work hard. No matter what, I'll try. Lin Yi said firmly. Haha, too much hope comes with too much disappointment. You need to have a normal heart. Old Lin said, You're slowly losing your normal heart, haven't you noticed? You're changing completely. You're becoming more sentimental. Is that so? Lin Yi paused. Perhaps, but this is good too. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm just worried that you won't be able to get over it. Old Lin said, I'm relying on you for my retirement. Don't die from depression, you'll die before me. Don't worry, I'll let you die first. Lin Yi smiled. Zhang Liju went through a lot of trouble looking for this fruit back then, but according to the records, he had a natural sense of smell that allowed him to find a high-level herb in the vast wasteland. Old Lin said, Of course, I don't really believe it, maybe he had something to rely on. That's right, Lin Yi nodded. Of course, I don't really believe it, maybe he had something to rely on. You're saying that he has a magical item that can find herbs? Like my jade pendant? Lin Yi reacted quickly. He understood what old Lin meant right away. Perhaps, so you really need to go to Zhang Liju's grave and pay attention. Old Lin said. I understand. Lin Yi nodded. If not for anything else, he had to pay attention to this magical item in order to find the fire spirit's fruit for Xiao Xiao. After ending the call with old Lin, Lin Yi took a deep breath and called Lingshan. Lin Yi? Lingshan was a bit surprised. Lin Yi usually wouldn't call her on his own. You're looking for me? Yeah, when are you planning on going? Lin Yi asked. Grave robbing? Lingshan paused. You mean catching the grave robbers? Yes. Lin Yi nodded. This month, Lingshan said. I've already disguised myself as a member of the couple, and I've been in contact with the other grave robbers. I'll go too. Lin Yi said, I agree to your suggestion. Really? That's great. Lingshan was overjoyed. If Lin Yi joined, then their chances would be even higher. She was already a golden class late phase peak, But the other grave robbers were full of hidden dragons as well. She wouldn't be able to handle them if they had masters. Chapter 13-18. Sure, but I can't give you the original. Lingshan had her principles. Lingshan had her own principles. She might have a good relationship with Lin Yi, but she couldn't change her principles. I don't need the original. Lin Yi just wanted to look at his medical notebooks. Original or not wasn't of any use to him. After confirming this, Lin Yi didn't tell Xiao Xiao and the others. After all, there was no progress yet. Just like old Lin said, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. It was better to wait until there was a result. What Lin Yi was afraid of the most was that even if the fire spirit's fruit was recorded in the medical notes, it wouldn't be easy to find. And so, these days Lin Yi started studying the map Wuxia gave him. This grave-robbing mission was very important to Lin Yi, and he couldn't afford to be careless. He had to succeed. 3 days later, Lin Yi was studying the map in his room when a scream came from outside. The door was pushed open and Yushu rushed in. Shield bro, quick. Xiao Xiao fainted again, go save her. Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly put down the map and ran upstairs with Yushu. Why did Xiao Xiao faint? I don't know. She said she was cold and wanted to take a hot shower. We didn't think much of it, but it's been an hour since Xiao Xiao went into the bathroom. We got worried and went to check, only to find her unconscious in the bathtub. Yushu said with a sigh. Lin Yi nodded. He had foreseen this situation a long time ago. Xiao Xiao's illness would act up in the next few days. Even if it didn't act up today, it would happen tomorrow or the day after. But his heart was still heavy at the moment. Right, Xiao Xiao isn't wearing any clothes. Shield bro, you can do something to her. Yushu said suddenly. Ha. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. Shu looked like an idiot, but Lin Yi knew that she was joking after seeing his heavy expression. Lin Yi walked into the bathroom quickly and saw Xiao Xiao in the bathtub. Tang Yun and Meng Yao were worried as well, but they couldn't do anything. They didn't dare move Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi didn't say much and carried Xiao Xiao into the bedroom, putting her on the bed. He then bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. You need to be prepared. This situation isn't looking good. Jiao Yazi's voice sounded in Lin Yi's ear. Oh? Jiao Lao, what's going on? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat when he heard Jiao Yazi's voice. This situation is more serious than I thought. The cold energy has entered every corner of her body, and it's too strong. I can feel it, Jiao Yazi said. Lin Yi's heart sank. Then this time, give it a try but don't force it. Don't die from blood loss before you can save her. Jiao Yazi sighed. Lin Yi nodded and let his blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed, but Xiao Xiao didn't look any better today. On the other hand, Lin Yi's face was getting paler and paler. There was a limit to the amount of blood in a human body. If a normal person lost more than 15% of their blood, they'd go into shock and 30% would be life-threatening. But Lin Yi's body was stronger than a normal person's, and he was losing more than 50% of his body's blood. A normal person would have died a long time ago. You can't do this anymore. If you keep bleeding, you'll be in trouble. Even if the art of dragon mastery can heal you, it'll still be dangerous. You're losing too much blood and I'm afraid you'll just die. Jiao Yazi warned. Lin Yi shook his head. He didn't stop. Xiao Xiao wasn't getting any better, so he couldn't stop. This was his last chance. If Lin Yi gave up, that meant that Xiao Xiao would never wake up again, and so Lin Yi channeled the art of dragon mastery, using it to quickly replenish his energy, allowing his body to continue producing blood, but the time needed to produce blood wasn't enough to keep up with the rapid blood loss. Even with the replenishment of energy, it didn't help. Even someone as strong as Lin Yi was starting to feel dizzy. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Lin Yi reminded himself that he had to hold on until the end. This was his last hope. If Xiao Xiao didn't wake up, then even if he found Zhang Liju's medical notes and the fire spirit's fruit, what use would it be? He couldn't give up, he couldn't. Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu watched as Lin Yi's face grew paler and paler. They were worried for him, but they couldn't say anything to disturb him. They could only pray for Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Do you still want to continue? Have you ever thought that you might die? Jiao Yazi was panicking. Lin Yi was basically committing suicide. Jiao Lao, don't try to talk me out of it. I know what I'm doing. Even if it's dangerous, I have to keep doing it, I have no other choice. Lin Yi said to Jiao Yazi in his mind, Jiao Lao, there's no way out for me. If I give up, then it'll be useless even if I get the fruit. Man. Jiao Yazi sighed and shut his mouth, not saying anything else. Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao's face getting blurry, and he couldn't hold on much longer. Was this all fate? He'd worked so hard for so long, fought for so long, and still couldn't escape this day? Lin Yi felt himself getting weaker and weaker, as if he was hallucinating. He thought he saw Xiao Xiao smile again and heard her sad voice. Remember when I said proudly, "I've been to this world before, don't tell me what eternity is, I'll be destroyed in the brightest moment." The next moment, Lin Yi didn't know what was going on anymore. He fainted on the ground. Even a practitioner couldn't handle this much blood loss, and Lin Yi was forced into the jade space. Chapter 13-19. Why aren't you using this time to recover your stamina? What are you doing sitting there like an idiot? Jiao Yazi scolded Lin Yi angrily. Lin Yi froze. Jiao Yazi's words woke him up from his sadness. Yes, there was hope as long as he was alive. He didn't know if Xiao Xiao was dead or alive, but that didn't mean there was no hope. After his body recovered, he could think of a way to save Xiao Xiao. As long as Xiao Xiao wasn't dead by the time he woke up, then there was still a chance. With that thought, Lin Yi said to Jiao Yazi seriously, "Jiao Lao, thank you. That sentence of yours was like a wake-up call, calming me down. Don't worry, I'll try my best to recover." "Okay, as long as you can think it through," Jiao Yazi nodded. Lin Yi closed his eyes and sat cross-legged, channeling the art of dragon taking, making his body absorb the energy quickly. Time passed quickly as he cultivated, and Lin Yi, who was forced into the jade space, was in a state of unconsciousness. He couldn't sense what was going on outside, and had to wait until his body recovered to a certain extent before he could re-establish contact with the outside world. Feng Tianlong rushed to the villa after receiving Tang Yun's call. Although they were father and daughter, it wasn't good for Xiao Xiao to be naked. After all, Xiao Xiao was a grown-up now. Therefore, Tang Yun stopped Feng Tianlong at the door of the bedroom. "Uncle Feng, please wait a moment. Yao Yao and Shu are helping Xiao Xiao get dressed. She went to take a shower and fainted in the bathroom." Okay. How is Xiao Xiao? This time, can she be saved?" Feng Tianlong rushed over as soon as he received the call, but Tang Yun didn't explain clearly on the phone, so he asked anxiously as soon as he entered the room. "This time?" Tang Yun's expression darkened. To be honest, Tang Yun didn't like Xiao Xiao at first, and she agreed to Feng Tianlong's request because she had no other choice. But now Tang Yun truly liked Xiao Xiao. She was worried for her, and didn't want her to leave. Tang Yun didn't finish her sentence, but Feng Tianlong understood what she meant. He nodded silently and walked into the bedroom with her. Xiao Xiao was already dressed by Mengyao and Yushu, and when Tianlong walked in, he saw Lin Yi lying beside Xiao Xiao. He couldn't help but gasp, "He." At first, Tianlong thought that Lin Yi was treating Xiao Xiao, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to be lying beside Xiao Xiao. He didn't know if he was asleep or... Lin Yi lost too much blood to save Xiao Xiao and fainted. Tang Yun sighed. She was worried, but she knew that Lin Yi had strong recovery abilities. She didn't need to worry too much. Then Xiao Xiao. Feng Qianlong's face was very ugly. Lin Yi had lost too much blood and Xiao Xiao wasn't awake yet. It was obvious what this meant. "I don't know yet. She's not awake yet, but although her heartbeat and breathing are weak, but..." Tang Yun wanted to say that she wasn't dead, but that didn't sound good, so she didn't say it. She believed that Feng Tianlong would understand. Sigh. Feng Tianlong looked at his daughter on the bed, frowning. Was this day really coming? As expected, they couldn't escape from this curse. Xiao Xiao couldn't hold on, and followed in the footsteps of his wife. Looking at the pale-faced Lin Yi, Feng Tianlong was filled with guilt. He felt that he had wronged him. If it weren't for his request, Lin Yi wouldn't have anything to do with Xiao Xiao, and wouldn't have gotten involved in this. But now Lin Yi was treating Xiao Xiao as his own responsibility, sparing no effort. Lin Yi not only saved her twice from bad guys, but also pulled her back from the gates of hell. This kind of friendship was hard to come by. Not to mention a fake couple, even a real couple would not be able to do this. Husband and wife were birds in the same forest, but when faced with a disaster they would fly away separately. This wasn't just a saying, there were too many examples. But Lin Yi was willing to sacrifice his own body for Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong didn't know how to repay him. "Uncle Feng, what are you doing?" Tang Yun quickly stood up and stopped Feng Tianlong. "Yeah, Uncle Feng, we're good friends with Xiao Xiao, good sisters." "This is nothing," Mengyao added. "Ever since Xiao Xiao came to the villa, she's brought a lot of joy to everyone." Yeah, we formed a troublemaking duo ready to sweep the universe," Yushu said as well. "Alright, then I won't be unreasonable. If you're tired, go to sleep first. I'll wait here for Xiao Xiao and Yi to wake up." Feng Tianlong looked at the time. "It's already 3 in the morning, I don't want to disturb your rest." "It's fine, we're worried about Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao," Tang Yun shook her head. Tang Yun shook her head. The two people she cared about the most were still unconscious. How could she be in the mood to sleep? Meng Yao and Yushu didn't say anything, but it was obvious that they thought the same. Seeing that his daughter had so many good friends, Feng Tianlong was touched again. Lin Yi quickly absorbed the energy in the jade space. In order to wake up sooner, Lin Yi compressed all the energy around him and absorbed it into his body. This way he could absorb more pure qi in the same amount of time. But when the pure qi was released in his body, it gave Lin Yi immense pain. It was like small energy bombs exploding in his body. Although it was his own energy, it was still very uncomfortable for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi didn't care about that anymore. His only thought was to recover quickly and use his blood to heal Xiao Xiao. Seeing Lin Yi's crazy actions, Jiao Yazi didn't stop him. If Lin Yi wanted to suffer, then so be it. As long as it wasn't too dangerous, Jiao Yazi didn't want to interfere. Lin Yi even dared to use energy compression when leveling up, let alone now. Chapter 1320. Lin Yi saw Tianlong and the unconscious Xiao Xiao beside him. Jiao Lao, is there still hope? Lin Yi's body had recovered a lot, and he looked a lot better than before. It's hard to say. The severity of the situation has exceeded my expectations. The frost has basically invaded her meridians, and from a normal perspective, there's nothing we can do. Even if you manage to wake her up, it'll only be a day or two. Jiao Yazi said, can you find the fruit in a day or two? I don't think it's possible. Lin Yi took a deep breath. A day or two. Even if it's just a day or two, I have to try. I can't just watch her die. Do what you want, you won't give up until you see the end of the road. Xiao Xiao has already developed a resistance to your blood, which means that the Yin frost in her body has reached a certain level, and your blood can't suppress it anymore. Jiao Yazi said. I know, no need to say more. Even a day or two is good enough. Lin Yi said, it's Xiao Xiao's birthday soon and I don't want her to have any regrets. I haven't celebrated her birthday with her yet. Feeling that his body was almost healed, Lin Yi quickly left the jade space and came back to reality. Lin Yi had been using his senses to check on Xiao Xiao's condition, and it was good that there was still life, so Lin Yi could rest easy and recover. After waking up, Lin Yi didn't bother talking to Tianlong. He bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Tianlong was relieved to see Lin Yi wake up, but at the same time he felt lucky. Xiao Xiao was in trouble, and if something happened to Lin Yi, how could he live with his conscience? Especially when Lin Yi was Lin Dongfang's disciple. If something happened to him, how would he answer to him? But the first thing Lin Yi did when he woke up was bite his wrist and continue healing Xiao Xiao. This made Tianlong's heart ache. He didn't know what to say. Lin Yi really cared about Xiao Xiao. Lil Yi, don't force yourself. Life and death are decreed by fate. You've already tried your best. Xiao Xiao is already like this, you can't harm your own body like this. Tianlong knew how important blood was to the human body. Although Lin Yi was a practitioner, he was also a practitioner. She'd lost too much blood to the point of fainting, and it was already a miracle that she could wake up without blood transfusion. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was giving her blood after waking up? Wasn't he looking to die? Don't worry. Lin Yi said faintly, I've almost recovered. I have to try everything. If I don't try, I won't be satisfied. Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu all fell silent after hearing Lin Yi's words. They all knew Lin Yi's personality. He would do what he said. Lin Yi's heart was conflicted. He wouldn't give up. Xiao Xiao's face was still pale and motionless, but Lin Yi still insisted on pouring his blood on Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed, and Lin Yi's face turned even paler and scarier, but Lin Yi didn't give up. The atmosphere in the room was very tense. No one spoke. Everyone was silent, and their eyes were on Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Finally, Xiao Xiao's eyelashes moved. She moved, she really moved. Yushu cried out. Ha! A happy smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. It seemed that Xiao Xiao had come back from the gates of hell. Tianlong's face was filled with joy and surprise as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to save Xiao Xiao this time. Xiao Xiao, are you awake? Tianlong ran over, a little excited. Ugh. Xiao Xiao opened her eyes in a daze and looked at the people in the room, surprised. I'm awake? I'm still alive? Yeah, you're still alive. Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi, honey, you saved me again? Xiao Xiao looked at the pale face of Lin Yi, his wrist still bleeding. She felt a little bad. Yeah, Shield Bro lost a lot of blood to save you and fainted. Yushu nodded, but he kept saving you after he woke up. Shoo! Meng Yao stopped her from saying any more. Xiao Xiao would feel even worse if she said all this, wouldn't she? As expected, a sad expression appeared on Xiao Xiao's face. Lin Yi, honey, I'm really sorry. I'm not worth it. Even if I were alive, I wouldn't be able to last more than a few days. I can feel that the cold energy is still stirring, it's just being suppressed for now. I know it's your birthday the day after tomorrow. After this day you'll break the curse of dying before you're 20. Maybe things will turn around. Linny said. Really? It's my birthday the day after tomorrow? Xiao Xiao didn't even remember her birthday. Tianlong had been busy with work, and she didn't have any close friends, so she didn't remember her birthday. She didn't think that he would remember her birthday at all. I saw it on your ID. Linny smiled. All right, don't say such depressing things. Everything's fine now. Okay. Xiao Xiao nodded after some hesitation. Yes, no matter what, she was alive again. Who cared how long she had left? She couldn't let Linny down, could she? The sky was starting to lighten, and the three girls hadn't slept the entire night. Xiao Xiao had just woken up, but she was very tired as well. After talking for a while, she started yawning. Linny didn't know what to say, but he didn't know what to say. Rest early, everyone. I'm going back to my room to rest as well. Linny said. I'm going back too. Xiao Xiao listened to Linny here. Tianlong had work to do too. The Red Conch incident wasn't solved yet. Who knew what they were planning next? Luckily, Xiao Xiao was in the villa now, so they didn't have to worry about the Red Conches attacking. After leaving the room, the smile on Lin Yi's face disappeared, replaced with a worried look. Tianlong, who followed him out, saw the change in Lin Yi's expression, but he wasn't too surprised. How long can Xiao Xiao last this time? Chapter 1321. What? You're saying that you found a way to save Xiao Xiao? Tianlong froze and stared at Lin Yi with his eyes wide open. His breathing quickened as he asked, Little Yi, tell me, have you found a way to save Xiao Xiao? Uncle Feng, don't move yet. Let's go downstairs and talk in my room. Lin Yi was afraid that Tianlong's voice would disturb Mingyao and the others in the room, so he made a gesture. Okay. Tianlong's body was shaking as he followed Lin Yi downstairs to Lin Yi's room. He couldn't wait as he entered. Lin Yi, tell me, do you have a way? Uncle Feng, I do, but I don't know if I can find the herb. If I can, then it's not a problem. Lin Yi said, but there's a problem, and that's time. There's not enough time. Even if I try my best, it'll take a month or longer. Xiao Xiao won't last that long. Herb? There's news on the fire spirit's fruit? Tianlong asked, surprised. Yes, I found an ancient medicine saint in a medical book. He once treated a very important patient with the fire spirit's fruit, and this herb can neutralize the coldness in the human body. It's what Xiao Xiao needs. Lin Yi said, and the place where this medicine saint found the fruit might be recorded in his medical notes, and the notes might be in his tomb. You're saying, you found the tomb of this medicine saint? Tianlong said, surprised. I found it and I'm preparing to go. Lin Yi nodded and told Tianlong about Lingshan's plan. Lingshan invited me to the tomb, and as a reward she'll let me copy all the medical books in there. That's not a problem. Even if she doesn't copy it for you, I have a way to show it to you. Feng Tianlong wasn't worried about this. With his special department, it was easy for him to look up these things. Does that mean there's hope for Xiao Xiao's illness? That should have been the case, but time waits for no man. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and sighed. It's too late to know this news. If it were earlier, it wouldn't be like this. That's not a problem. I can still help Xiao Xiao maintain her last bit of vitality. Feng Tianlong said, you might not know this, but when Susu passed away, I made an ice coffin for her and sealed her in it. It can maintain her body's functions. What? You actually thought of this method? Lin Yi was slightly taken aback, then nodded. Absolute zero? Although the department I'm in is a little special, it's still not up to that standard. But even if it doesn't reach that temperature, it won't be a problem to seal Xiao Xiao for decades. Feng Tianlong said, I didn't think of this method. It was Lin Dongfang, your master. He mentioned an interesting story saying that someone was frozen in a glacier, and when the glacier melted, the person woke up. That's why I thought of this method. Of course, although this method can ensure that Xiao Xiao's body doesn't deteriorate, there's still a risk. Let's not talk about whether that joke was real or not. Even if it was real, there's a lot of coincidence involved, so if she freezes to death and can't recover, that's fine. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had a happy smile on his face. As long as Xiao Xiao's body didn't change, Lin Yi had his omnipotent energy, and he should be able to revive her. Everything was ready, and all that was left was the fire spirit's fruit. Seeing the smile on Lin Yi's face, Feng Tianlong didn't say much. Lin Yi must have a plan. Alright, I'll get someone to prepare and make another ice coffin. Feng Tianlong didn't dare delay and immediately prepared to make the arrangements. When you froze Auntie Susu back then, did you think that she could be healed in the future? Lin Yi asked. Yes, Miracle Dr. Lin Dongfang said that if a sky class were to help, Susu could be saved, but... Sky class. Feng Tianlong smiled bitterly. I've already begged, but no sky class would risk losing a level to save a normal person. You've seen a sky class before? Lin Yi looked at Feng Tianlong shocked. He didn't think that he'd come into contact with a sky class. It's fine, I'm just a normal person now, let's not talk about that. Feng Tianlong evidently didn't want to talk about the past. He shook his head and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi saw Feng Tianlong's face and knew that he didn't want to talk about it anymore, so he didn't force him. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. If it's possible, I'll find 2 fire spirits fruits and give one to Auntie Susu, but if there's only one, please forgive me Uncle Feng, I can only give it to Xiao Xiao. If the fire spirit's fruit is split, no one can guarantee that it won't have any effect. You love your wife, but I also want my wife to live. I know, I understand. Feng Tianlong couldn't help but laugh after hearing Lin Yi's words. She's still my daughter. I believe that if I really gave the one and only fire spirit's fruit to Susu, even if she came back to life and knew that I didn't save Xiao Xiao, she would still kill me. Lin Yi nodded. Feng Tianlong was right. Which parent didn't want their child to be safe and happy? Even if they died, it didn't matter. He believed that if Xiao Susu woke up, she would have the same thought. Lin Yi believed that if he and Xiao Xiao had a child and Lin Yi found a fire spirit's fruit, Xiao Xiao would definitely give it to the child and not herself. After sending Feng Tianlong away, Lin Yi's mood brightened up. The dark clouds were swept away. As long as he solved the problem of time, everything else wasn't a problem. The fire spirit's fruit, Lin Yi believed that if he worked hard, he would definitely be able to find it. Even if he couldn't find it, he could wait until he leveled up to sky class to cure Xiao Xiao's illness. Drop levels? Lin Yi wasn't afraid. Did he drop too little? Because Xiao Xiao always dropped to 0, so this was the result no matter what, right? Negative levels? Chapter 1322. Jianghu and the professor got out of the police station without much hassle. They were victims after all, and Lingshan only investigated how they got caught and tricked before letting them go. The problem now was that Scorpion had confessed, but they couldn't get the money back. This made Lingshan a little depressed. According to Scorpion, he was from the international criminal organization Red Conscious. His purpose here was to get money for Red Conscious, and the other was to work as an information center. Red Conch had been stirring up a storm in Songshan recently, so Lingshan didn't doubt Scorpion's words. Red Conch couldn't even catch the people from the occult investigation department, let alone Lingshan. This wasn't something she cared about, and so the underground arena case had to end here. After this case was over, Lingshan would have to focus on the grave robbing case. This was a battle of wits and courage against criminals, and Lingshan had to give it her all. After the underground arena case was over, Xie Yufeng continued to visit her every day. Lingshan was annoyed, but there was nothing she could do about it. Sometimes she really wanted Lin Yi to break his legs so he wouldn't bother her anymore. Lingshan, you're finally done with the case, right? I saw the papers, it was a complete victory. Congratulations, you've done a meritorious deed again. Yufeng had been paying attention to Lingshan. She said that she was busy with the case and Yufeng knew that it was an excuse, but she really was busy. After the case was over, Yufeng planned to ask her out for a meal again. He'd like to see if she had any reason to reject him this time. That's because of everyone's hard work. Lingshan said faintly, do you have something to say? I've booked a table at Starlight Hotel tonight. I'm planning to hold a celebratory feast for you. How about it? Are you free tonight? Yufeng smiled. Sorry, not tonight, there's another case. Lingshan waved the file in her hand. I have to work overtime tonight, maybe next time. Yufeng was very troubled, and his face didn't look too good after hearing Lingshan's words. But Lingshan's reason was reasonable and he couldn't say anything about it. He gritted his teeth. All right, I'll be going then. Lingshan frowned as she watched Yufeng leave. This guy had been chasing after her for a long time, and he'd always been a problem. She could brush him off now, but what would happen in the long run? There would come a day when Xie Yufeng would get impatient, and when would he get impatient? What would happen? At that time, House Song and House Yu might just fall out. What would happen to House Song's future then? Lingshan wasn't in a good mood at the thought. If it weren't for this marriage with Lingshan's current potential, it would have been normal for her to have a seat in the noble house meeting, and so Lingshan was very happy. But now, with the marriage with House Yu, things were different. On the surface, it looked like House Yu's support would make House Song stronger, but the problem was that Lingshan didn't like Yufeng. If she didn't have anyone she liked, then it'd be fine. For the sake of House Song, Lingshan wouldn't mind. But now that she had someone she liked with her personality, she'd rather die than be with Yufeng. But this meant that there would be conflict. It was easy to get engaged but hard to break off. This wasn't just about Yufeng lusting after her, it was about the face of the house. Of course, if House Yu broke off the engagement first, then House Song would have no choice but to accept it. After all, House Yu was strong, and in the noble house rankings whoever was stronger had the right. The situation was reversed and House Song was the weaker. If they broke off the engagement, House Yu might get angry and do something outrageous. There was a knock on the door and Lingshan sighed. "Come in." It was Yu Qian. He was invited by Lingshan to discuss the grave robbing. "Lingshan, what's wrong? Why do you look so sad?" Yu Qian might have given up on pursuing Lingshan, but he still cared about her. Her every movement and smile were all under Yu Qian's observation. Naturally, he had to ask when he saw the worried look on Lingshan's face. "Yu Qian bro, you're here." Lingshan forced a smile. "Isn't it House Yu's phone? He came again just now and said that he had booked a table at the Starlight Hotel. He wants me to go tonight and have a celebratory feast for me." "He's here again?" Yu Qian frowned. "Can't he tell that you don't like him?" "He can tell, but so what?" Lingshan shook her head. "Didn't you see that too? You still don't give up?" "I'm different, at least I'm not as persistent as him." Yu Qian felt a little awkward, but he seems to be a little too persistent? Who knows? I don't know how to reject him either. Lingshan said, "The noble house meeting is coming up and I don't want House Song and House Yu to turn against each other. It doesn't benefit House Song at all. But how about this, I talk to you phone. We're both men, it's easier to talk. If we ask him to give up and back off, it won't affect House Song and House Yu." Yu Qian sighed. "Let Yu phone cancel the engagement, that way we can save our face." Yu Qian sighed. "It's no use, Yufeng's different from you, he's someone who won't give up until he gets what he wants. I see the possessiveness in his eyes, he won't give up that easily." Lingshan smiled bitterly. "He's an unreasonable person. No matter what, we still have to try." Yu Qian had a rough idea of Yufeng's personality from what Lingshan told him, domineering and unreasonable, but seeing how troubled Lingshan was, he wanted to share some of her burden. "It's fine, I don't want to drag you and House Chen into this." Lingshan said with a wave of her hand. "Your House Chen can't even save yourself, it'll be good enough if you can stay in the noble house meeting. Maybe I should talk to Linny about it? Maybe he can do something?" Yu Qian asked after some thought. "We'll talk about it later, Linny seems pretty busy these days." Lingshan said, "Let's just brush him off for now, we'll talk to him if it really doesn't work." Chapter 1323. "Alright, we'll talk about it later then." Yu Qian nodded. This was Lingshan's private matter after all, and he couldn't say too much about it. He was just giving a suggestion from a friend's perspective. "Yu Qian bro, I called you here to discuss the operation in a couple of days. I actually have some good news for you." Lingshan shook her head, throwing Yufeng's worries to the back of her head. "Oh? What good news?" Yu Qian paused. "Don't tell me that Lin Yi agreed to join this operation?" "That's right, you're right." Lingshan nodded. "With Lin Yi joining us, this operation might be a lot smoother. Yeah, we're both golden class and you're a golden class late phase peak. But facing those evil grave robbers, I'm still worried that something might go wrong." Yu Qian nodded. "But this way Lin Yi and I will be the couple and you'll only be the follower," Lingshan said, a little embarrassed. "Naturally, don't worry, I won't have any thoughts. I've thought it through already." Yu Qian smiled. "I support you and Lin Yi being together. I still have some thoughts but I've let it go." "Alright, then this operation is set. Me, Lin Yi and you will do it together. As for the others, you don't need to bring them," Lingshan said. According to the information, the couple likes to work alone, and they don't like to bring too many underlings. Sometimes they only bring one follower. In fact, it's not always good to have more people in a grave robber. There's a lot of traps in the graveyard and one mistake and you'll die. It's fine if you have a good follower, but normal followers are just a burden. "That's true," Yu Qian said. "When do we leave?" "I've already contacted the other grave robbers. You better follow up on Bujia's side." "I can't do much. He said he told us everything he knows, but I feel like he's hiding something." Lingshan shrugged, a little regretful. "This guy's really tight-lipped. Other than the things he told us, no matter what I did, he never spilled anything. However, his words were too rigorous and his thoughts were too clear. Even if a normal person were to tell the truth, there would still be some mistakes or omissions when saying the same truth so many times. However, he didn't. It was as if he had prepared a draft. This person's mind is too meticulous, but he's an expert in learning, so it's normal for his IQ to be higher than ordinary criminals. Qin Yuqian said, but you don't have to worry about it too much. I think he probably told Lin Yi what he didn't say. It's probably about the medical books in Zhang Liju's tomb. It doesn't have much to do with us. That's possible. Lingue remembered that Bodyguard said he was going to give Lin Yi something. To Lin Yi, the only things that counted as benefits were money and medical books. Bodyguard didn't know Lin Yi, but he knew that Lin Yi was a skilled doctor. He couldn't give Lin Yi more than these two things. After that, Lingshan and Yuqian started to discuss the details of the mission, but most of it was just on paper. They didn't know what it was like inside the tomb, how dangerous it was, and what they were doing now was just to make sure they didn't have to worry about anything when it happened. Today was Xiao Xiao's birthday, and Meng Yao went to the supermarket with Shu early in the morning. They bought a lot of fresh fruits, preparing to make a fruit cake. Tang Yun was kneading the dough and making the cake base while Lin Yi told Xiaobo to buy butter. The miss had all the cooking utensils in the house, and Lin Yi was preparing to make a cake for Xiao Xiao. This wasn't hard for Lin Yi. There weren't any cake shops in Star West Village, and Lin Yi and Old Lin's birthdays were always made by Lin Yi himself. Lin Yi was by Xiao Xiao's side, looking at the thick jacket she was wearing, looking so down. He couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Xiao, don't worry too much. Didn't I tell you already? Uncle Foam will prepare an ice coffin for you and seal you up like your mother. I'll find the fruit for sure. Yeah, I believe you. I'm not worried, I'm just cold. Xiao Xiao said weakly. Actually, I'm really happy today. Lin Yi nodded. Xiao Xiao had been like this ever since she woke up 2 days ago. It was probably because she was supposed to be dead, but Lin Yi forcefully extended her life for 2 more days. Naturally, she didn't have much energy left. Alright, it's your birthday, don't knit anymore. Let's put it off for a day. Lin Yi said as he saw Xiao Xiao pick up the needle and start knitting again. Let me knit, I'm afraid I won't make it in time. Who knows if I'll be able to live past tomorrow. Xiao Xiao shook her head and continued. Didn't I say that you won't die? Lin Yi said, you can knit it when you come back to life. That won't do, I want to give it to you now. Xiao Xiao said, who knows how long it'll be before I can come back to life. Lin Yi didn't stop Xiao Xiao from saying that. He got up and went to the kitchen to help Tang Yun with the cake. The doorbell rang and Tang Yun went to open the door. It was Su Shihan. Lin Yi had called her earlier, inviting her to Xiao Xiao's birthday banquet. She'd booked a ticket to leave today, but for Xiao Xiao, she changed it to tomorrow. On, you're here. Tang Yun was surprised, not expecting Su Shihan to actually come. Yeah, where's Xiao Xiao? I brought her a present. Su Jinghan said as she took out a gift bag. In the living room, Han, you play with Xiao Xiao for a while. I'm making a cake with Lin Yi, I can't stay with you guys for now. Tang Yun showed Su Shihan her hand that was covered in flour. Alright, go on then. Right, do you need my help? Su Shihan asked. No need, just accompany Xiao Xiao. Tang Yun shook her head. On, you're here. Xiao Xiao greeted Su Shihan weakly. Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? Why are you so weak? Why are you wearing a jacket at home? Su Shihan's eyes went wide when she saw Xiao Xiao. It's nothing, haha, maybe I'm dying? Xiao Xiao smiled. Chapter 1324. Shihan fell silent. Xiao Xiao had seen through life and death, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. Seeing a friend she just met leave made her heart heavy. Alright Han, let's not talk about this. Lin Yi honey said that he can cure me, so he definitely can. Who knows, maybe you'll come back in a few years and find me alive again. Xiao Xiao saw that Shihan wasn't in a good mood and started consoling her. Shihan paused. Naturally, she didn't know about the ice coffin, so it was a little weird. It's nothing. What did you get me? Let me see? Xiao Xiao changed the topic. An album I recorded for you myself. Most of the songs are covers, but there's nothing special about it. I've never released it before, Shihan said as she handed the gift to Xiao Xiao. Wow, not bad at all. I love it. Xiao Xiao happily put the gift away. Mingyao, Yushu and Kong Fan all came back one after another. Gooden, Yuan, Fatty Lai and Feng Tianlong were all invited as well. After the cake was done, everyone sat around the dining table and started singing the birthday song. Everyone knew about Xiao Xiao, but no one would bring it up right now. They didn't look sad either. Everyone happily gave their blessings. I'm so touched. This is the first time I've had such a lively birthday, Xiao Xiao said emotionally. I used to celebrate my birthdays with my dad at most, but this time I have so many good friends. Alright, time to turn off the lights and cut the cake. Yushu lit up the candles on the cake and happily turned off the lights in the dining room. In an instant, the dining room turned dark, and only the candlelight flickered. Xiao Xiao's face was flushed from the candlelight, and she looked exceptionally beautiful behind the candlelight. Xiao Xiao, you're 1 year older now. Do you have any wishes? Tianlong smiled at his daughter. Hearing that Lin Yi had a solution, Feng Tianlong let out a sigh of relief. Not only was there hope for Xiao Xiao, but there was also hope for his wife to wake up. This made his 20 years of gloomy mood finally see some light. Yeah, I can't tell you. Xiao Xiao blushed, but under the candlelight, no one could see her blushing. Then, let's all stop talking and let Xiao Xiao make a wish? Shirhan suggested. All right. Xiao Xiao, hurry up and make a wish. Tell me secretly after you're done. Yushu said. Haha. Xiao Xiao nodded and clasped her hands together, closing her eyes as she silently made a wish. Xiao Xiao looked like she'd seen through life and death, and didn't fear death anymore, but in truth she didn't want to die. Especially with a boyfriend like Lin Yi and friends like Mengyao, Yushu, Tang Yun and Shirhan. She didn't want to die. And so, she made a wish, hoping that Lin Yi would be able to cure her so that she could be with them forever. Xiao Xiao sincerely made her wish, and the beautiful images of the future appeared in her mind. She'd have children with Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Mengyao, Xiao Xiao and Shirhan. It was simply too beautiful, and she couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. No one spoke in the dining room. Everyone was waiting for Xiao Xiao to make her wish, but after a while Xiao Xiao didn't look up. Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi called. Xiao Xiao didn't reply. Lin Yi stood up and rushed over, checking Xiao Xiao's breathing and pulse. As expected, it was the same faint feeling she had when she was unconscious. Her illness had acted up, and she couldn't make it past her 20th birthday. Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to bite his wrist and use his blood to heal her, but Jiao Yazi's voice sounded. Don't waste your efforts. The cold in her body has seeped into her bones and it's not something you can reverse. No matter how much blood you use, it won't do anything. The most important thing right now is to use the method you thought of before to seal her in an ice coffin, and then go find the fruit. Lin Yi paused before coming back to his senses. He stopped biting his wrist and sighed. Uncle Feng, prepare the ice coffin. I can't do it this time. There's nothing I can do. Lin Yi's words stunned everyone. Lin Yi had pulled Xiao Xiao back from the gates of hell time and time again, and they thought that he could do it this time as well. But they didn't expect Lin Yi to say something like that. Xiao Xiao. Tang Yin stood up first, her face pale. Lin Yi, is there no other way? Seal her in an ice coffin as soon as possible. I'll find the fruit, that's the only way. Lin Yi said seriously. Of course, when I break through to Sky Class, I'll be able to save Xiao Xiao, so don't be too sad. Just pretend that she's asleep. Lin Yi was sad as well, but he didn't want others to be sadder, so he tried to comfort them. Mengyao, Yushu and Shirhan all looked sad as well. The day had finally come, and it was a good thing that they were all mentally prepared for it. I'll contact the ice coffin right now. Tianlong nodded quickly and started making the call. The usually lively House Chu's villa had returned to its usual calmness, and even the lively Yushu had become quiet. Xiao Xiao's death wasn't something that could be relieved in just 1 or 2 days. Xiao Xiao wasn't in the villa before, but it was a completely different feeling from now. Shield bro, when are you going grave robbing? Yushu urged Lin Yi almost every day, asking him when he was going. Lin Yi, I'll leave Xiao Xiao to you. Mengyao reminded Lin Yi often that he had a mission, a responsibility. Lin Yi, as long as you save Xiao Xiao, I'll agree to anything. We can play together. Even a threesome is fine. Tang Yin, who was always shy, was even flirting with Lin Yi for Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1325. And so, Lin Yi spent these days researching the mechanisms of the tomb, and the blueprints and instructions Lu Buojia gave him were read over and over by Lin Yi. But even with the blueprints, Lin Yi didn't slack off. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Lu Buojia, but the information wasn't complete. Lu Buojia's information only talked about the mechanisms on the outskirts of the tomb, but didn't talk about the facilities inside. After all, Lu Buojia himself only observed from the outside, and didn't go in, so no one knew what the situation inside was like. Every afternoon it was still Lin Yi, the Miss, Shu and Yin Yun eating together, but something seemed to be missing. No one seemed to want to talk, and the only thing they talked about was urging Lin Yi to go rob the tomb and find a way to save Xiao Xiao. Without Xie Yufeng, the school became peaceful again, and Pinliang tolerated it for the time being. He didn't have any conflicts with Lin Yi and the others. The days went on, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day of the tomb robber. Lin Yi said goodbye to the Miss, Shu and Yin Yun, but they didn't seem reluctant at all. Instead, they sighed happily. We're finally leaving. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He smiled bitterly. Wait for my good news. But you have to be careful. Tang Yun said seriously. To us, Xiao Xiao is important, but you're important as well. Don't force yourself and do what you can. As long as there's life, there's hope. If something happens to you, not only us but even Xiao Xiao will lose hope. Yeah, Linny, you have to be careful. Ming Yao nodded. I understand, don't worry. Linny nodded and said with a smile. Before leaving, Linny called Gooden into the villa. Even though Songshan's enemies hadn't come knocking on their door, Linny was still worried about the girl's safety. It was better to be safe than sorry. Even with Faubert around, Faubert was only a peak late phase golden class, and while he could deal with normal opponents, he wouldn't be able to handle the stronger ones. Gooden, I'll leave Yao Yao, Shu and Yin Yun's safety to you when I'm not here. Linny said. Don't worry, boss. Leave this to me. Gooden patted his chest. I'll make sure to protect them when you're not here. But your body is special. You have to remember what I said. Linny said seriously. If a master comes looking for trouble and you don't have the confidence, just kill him straight away, don't hold back. You're strong, but if a mystic's punch hits you, you'll die for sure. And if the opponent isn't very strong, then cripple his resistance first, then ask the mastermind behind the scenes. I'll remember. Gooden remembered Lin Yi's words. He looked honest, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. That night, Gooden moved into the Chu Villa, Lin Yi's room. As for Yuan Yuan, they had to leave for now. Gooden and Yuan Yuan didn't want to leave, but as far as he was concerned, the mission his boss gave him was the most important. Lin Yi, on the other hand, went to the police station to meet up with Lingshan and Yu Tian. There were some things that needed to be done in unison. The other grave robbers weren't just for show after all. If their disguise was exposed, then it'd be over. Yu Tian, bro, Lingshan, you guys should have come up with a detailed plan for the grave robbing, right? Just show it to me. Lin Yi didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Lin Yi didn't need to be courteous with Yu Tian and Lin Yi, especially with Lingshan and Lin Yi. It's done, it's here. Yu Tian nodded and handed the plan to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't say much as he sat on the sofa and started flipping through the book. He'd only skimmed through the tomb raiding plans. It was all theoretical stuff with no practical use at all. He'd only read the introduction to the couple in detail, including their habits, style, etc., 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 etc. The couple rarely interacts with others? Even the other grave robbers don't know their true faces? After Lin Yi finished reading the information, he asked, in other words, we don't have to deliberately disguise ourselves? That's right. The couple is a very cautious and cunning tomb robber. If it weren't for the coincidence that I found them at the border, I wouldn't have been able to kill them. Qin Yu Tian nodded. This way it saves us a lot of trouble. They're a rather unique existence in the tomb raiding world. Their skills are high and they're cunning. Their peers love and hate each other as well. Sometimes they're greedy and want a piece of every tomb, but other times they can't do without them. They're very experienced. Lin Yi nodded. Right now it's me and Lingshan acting as the couple. You're our foundation, right? That's right. Yu Tian nodded. You're the strongest among the three of us, and the male is also the strongest among the couple. What's your strength now? Or early phase golden class? Lin Yi looked at Yu Tian and asked. Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm still early phase golden class. Yu Tian said, a little embarrassed. He hadn't been able to raise his strength because of his talent. Then I'll raise you to peak late phase golden class tonight. You'll be able to protect yourself like Lingshan, Lin Yi said faintly. Ah. Yu Tian froze. Peak late phase golden class? Did he hear wrongly? Lin Yi was going to raise his strength? And looking at Lin Yi's tone, it seemed like he was talking about something very normal. You should know how Lingshan raised her strength. Stop wasting time and start now. Lin Yi looked at Yu Tian's shocked face and smiled impatiently. Chapter 1326. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Once the strength of these people increased, even the hidden families and ancient sects would not dare to act rashly in front of him. If he didn't want to be bullied, he had to keep increasing his strength. But at the same time, he also had to help the people around him. This wasn't just helping him, it was also for their own good. Otherwise, once Lin Yi's strength reached a certain level, others wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But what if they tried to do something to his friends and family? Although Lin Yi would definitely go crazy for revenge, there were still some brainless people out there. All right. Yu Tian took a deep breath and said solemnly, I can't thank you enough. Don't say those useless things. Why are you being so polite with me? Lin Yi scolded with a smile. You'll only be able to protect Shu when you're strong enough. I can't protect her forever. You'll still be the big brother in the future. But, you and Shu. Yu Tian actually approved of his sister being with Lin Yi. Although there was still Lingshan here, Tang Yun there, and Xiao Xiao there, but on one hand Yuqian could see that his sister really liked Tang Yun, and on the other hand he admired Lin Yi. Let's not talk about this. Lin Yi waved his hand, ending the topic. He put his hands on Yuqian's meridians. Start channeling your arts, I'm going to start. Alright. Yuqian nodded, and Lin Yi closed his eyes and entered the jade space, channeling the art of dragon mastery. In the next moment, a large amount of qi was absorbed into Yuqian's body. Even if Yuqian had heard Lingshan talk about how she leveled up once, he couldn't help but be shocked. Could this be the legendary power imparting? The purity of this qi was something Qin Yuqian had never seen before. Even in the deep mountains and forests, the qi he absorbed wasn't half as pure as this. Qin Yuqian didn't dare to waste any time and started absorbing as much qi as he could. Lingshan had already been through Lin Yi's leveling up, and so she wasn't too surprised. She sat quietly on the side, protecting the two, not letting anyone disturb them. After midnight, Lin Yi stopped channeling, and Yuqian reached the peak of the late phase of the golden class without a doubt. What Lin Yi wasn't surprised was that he still stopped at the bottleneck, unable to take another step forward. I'm really at the peak of the late phase of the golden class? Yuqian opened his hands in disbelief, shocked. Is this for real? In such a short period of time, I actually have this kind of strength. It's like a dream. I felt the same way back then. Lingshan looked at Lin Yi, who didn't seem to be affected at all, smiling bitterly. Just how strong was this person? Even if it was grandma, she'd lose some strength when she passed on her grandpa's strength, and there was no way she could raise someone from the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in such a short time. How many levels did he cross in between? This was simply inconceivable. That's all I can do for now. Whether or not you can reach the mystic class depends on your own efforts. Lin Yi said regretfully, if I want to raise you guys to the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, I'll have to work hard to become an earth class. You can still raise. Yuqian's eyes widened. He didn't think that the day Lin Yi became an earth class would be the day he became a mystic late phase peak. This was too hard to accept, wasn't it? But the truth was the truth and he had to believe it. After all, he'd seen it with his own eyes. From the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in one night. The speed was like sitting on a rocket. Alright, let's all get some rest. I'm tired too, don't we have to leave early tomorrow morning? Lin Yi had been using every night to train, so that if he couldn't find the fruit, he'd be able to prolong Xiao Xiao's life when he became a sky class. The effect wasn't as good as the fruit, but it was a safer backup plan. After all, Lin Yi was sure that he'd reach the sky class one day. Lingshan and Yuqian didn't object, since it was getting late. But they were in Lingshan's office and sleeping was a problem. In Lingshan's break room, there was a sofa that could fit two people if they squeezed together, but in the outer room, there was a sofa that could only fit one person. Lin Yi, you and Lingshan can sleep on the bed, I'll sleep on the sofa. Yuqian had already accepted the fact that Lingshan and Lin Yi were sleeping together, so he suggested. Lingshan blushed but didn't object. In her heart, she'd long since considered herself as Lin Yi's woman. He'd seen everything and even tried to seduce him. Why would she care about sleeping with Lin Yi? She couldn't wait. It's okay, I'm not sleeping, I can recover by training. I'll just rest on the chair, you guys sleep, Lin Yi said faintly. Alright. Yuqian nodded. I'll sleep on the sofa then. Yuqian could see the disappointment on Lingshan's face, but this wasn't something he could meddle in. It was better to sleep first. Then I'll go rest too. Lingshan knew that Lin Yi was a man of his word. If he didn't want to go, there was no point in forcing him. After a night of silence, the three started their journey the next day, to the ancient tomb in the outskirts of Songshan City. The three of them were in an off-road car. It was Yuqian's car, but the original license plate had been removed and replaced with a fake one. This was a common method used by grave robbers, and Lingshan and the others naturally followed suit. Although the tomb was in the outskirts of Songshan City, it was still quite far from the city proper, about 5 hours of driving. There were no highways and there were mountain roads in between, so 5 hours was a conservative estimate. Sure enough, when the three of them arrived at their destination, it was already evening. This was a very desolate foot of a mountain. At the foot of the mountain there was only a small village. It could be seen that the economy here was not very developed. The village was filled with bungalows and the conditions were not very good. Chapter 1327. No need, let's go straight. We're all practitioners, we don't need to rest. Lin Yi said faintly. Lingshan nodded. She'd forgotten that they were all practitioners, so she'd naturally suggest that they set up camp in a village to rest, but that wasn't necessary now. Then let's keep going. We should be there soon. Ling Shan said. The road became more and more difficult to advance. There was almost no one in this area. Even the people in the nearby villages would not come to this place. This was because this was a mountain range and it was mainly composed of rock cliffs. There were no wild fruits or animals. People could do nothing but look at the scenery here. The scenery here isn't bad, it's a good place to take pictures. Linny sighed. It's a pity that no matter how good the scenery is, we can't develop it into a tourist spot because of the seclusion. The villages nearby are too poor and the infrastructure is too bad. It'd take too much investment to develop this place into a tourist spot. No company would invest that much money here, and we don't even know if there'll be any returns. Yu Tian said. Lin Yi didn't understand business operations, and so he didn't comment on Yu Tian's words. The car drove for a while and the road got harder and harder. There were fewer trees on the side of the road, and there was nothing else other than desolate rocks. They'd thought that the scenery was pretty when they first entered the mountain range, but as time went on, it became boring and boring. Chen Yutian was right. This place wasn't suitable for a tourist spot. The scenery was too monotonous and people who came here once wouldn't come back again. There was no point in staying here. We're almost there. We need to put on our masks. The tents in front might belong to the other tomb robbers. We need to be cautious and alert at all times. Don't let anyone see through us. Lingshan reminded. There's no need to be vigilant. Being too vigilant would only make people suspicious. Let's just do what we need to do. Linny said faintly. The couple's style is very overbearing and arrogant. The information mentioned that too. Everyone in the industry knows that. Why would they be cautious? You're right, I was too worried. Lingshan said, getting taught a lesson. With that, Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yu Qian put on the masks they'd prepared beforehand. These masks were all taken from the couple and they were all original masks. They didn't even need to copy them. As the car got closer, they saw rows of tents and rows of vehicles not far away. Most of the vehicles were off-road vehicles, but there were also a few large trucks. They were probably loaded with living materials. These grave robbers had many underlings, unlike the couple who preferred to be alone. When Qin Yuqian drove closer, a few men with assault rifles walked out of the tent. Behind them, a short and skinny man waved his hand, signaling Qin Yuqian to stop. What are you doing? This is a military administrative area. There's construction in front of us. We can't go through. The short and thin man said lightly. If it were a normal tourist, they might have really believed the man's words and turned around to leave, but Qin Yuqian came here with a purpose. Naturally, he wouldn't believe the man's words. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There's wood in front, right? Qin Yuqian said faintly. This was the newest entrance to the grave robbers business, and he got it from Lu Buijia himself. He believed that the short and thin man would understand. Oh. The man said calmly. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. The previous sentence was a common opening in the tomb robbing industry, and this sentence was the agreed-upon secret code for this tomb robbing. If they could not answer, then sorry, the short and thin man would wave his hand, and the burly men with the submachine guns would not hesitate to open fire. If he could match the first sentence but not the second sentence, it was very likely that this person was also a member of the thief sect. He must have heard the news and wanted to fish in troubled waters to get some benefits. Therefore, the dark and thin man would never let these people have a share of the profits. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li. Qin Yutian said calmly. He got this secret code from the couple's logbook. Even Lu Buijia didn't know this secret code. The couple might have been afraid of forgetting this secret code, so they recorded it in their logbook. Both Yuqian and Lingshan wanted to laugh when they first saw the signal. The first reaction most people would have was the pagoda suppressing the river monster, but it'd be a huge mistake if they were to say something like that out of their mouth. A friend from afar. May I ask which group you're from? The short and thin man's face softened a bit. He knew that this was the group they'd agreed on. Old hey, you don't even fucking recognize me anymore? Why were you wasting my time? Do you want me to make him run you over? Before Qin Yuqian could say anything, Lin Yi opened the car door unhappily and jumped down, scolding the man. According to Qin Yuqian's information, this old hey was the leader of the Red Pagoda tomb robbers, as well as the discoverers of this tomb. The couple had a weird temper and thought highly of their skills, looking down on their peers. They weren't very popular usually, but when it came to difficult tombs like this, they had no choice but to invite them over. And so, Lin Yi started scolding them as soon as he got out of the car. Male thief, you're still so bad-tempered. I'm just doing this for safety. The fewer people here, the more benefits we'll get. I'm just worried that someone might hear about this and come join in the fun. The short and thin man called Old Hay shook his head helplessly. He was pissed off, but there was nothing else he could do. Umph. Lin Yi humphed coldly. Where are the others? Are they all here? My time is limited. King Bro, Hao Yi and James are all here. They're resting over there. The short and thin man said. Everyone's here? When is it starting? Lin Yi asked. According to the information he'd read, there were only 5 groups of people who'd come this time, and one of the couples had already become him. The other 4 groups were all present. Chapter 1328. He only nodded. If you guys are hungry, you can buy some food over there. With that, the skinny man pointed at the 2 trucks not far away. No need, we brought our own food. Lin Yi said faintly before getting back into the car. Yu Qian, on the other hand, drove off to find the camp. What the hell, an idiot. Beside the skinny man was a big man with a submachine gun. He spat out a mouthful of phlegm on the ground as he watched Lin Yi's car leave. Does he really think he's some sort of big shot? He's so rich and he brings his own food every time. Why didn't he get killed by the traps in the tomb? He's not on the same side as us. We don't get along well, maybe he's worried that we'll poison his food. Old He shook his head and went back to the tent without saying anything else. Lin Yi, you're not bad. Ling Shan praised after the car was far away. I was so nervous just now, scared that old He would see through us. His eyes are like sharp swords, like they can see through people's thoughts. But you got out of the car and started yelling at him. It's fine if he yelled at me. Lin Yi said faintly. What do we do now? Set up a tent like them? Yes. According to the data, the couple doesn't have a good relationship with the other tomb robbers, so we don't need to visit them, we just need to wait here. Ling Shan said. Lin Yi nodded and started setting up the tent with Yu Qian. He then took out some food from the car and went into the tent. Old He had been watching Lin Yi's group with his binoculars, and only breathed out in relief when he saw them setting up the tent like normal and not doing anything else. Although Old Black felt that there was nothing wrong with the burglar couple today and everything seemed normal, for some reason he felt that the male burglar couple gave off a dangerous feeling. It was different from before. Blackie shook his head. Perhaps he was being too sensitive. Inside the tent, Yu Qian and Ling Shan were munching on bread and drinking mineral water. Lin Yi, on the other hand, just ate something and started practicing. There was an endless amount of energy in the jade space that he could absorb, so skipping meals was fine. As for that piece of bread, it was just out of habit. Let's take turns to be on duty at night. One person will be on duty while the others sleep. Ling Shan said as she ate. I don't feel too reassured. I'm worried that they'll notice something and do something bad to us. Not at the moment, but it's fine. You guys go to sleep. I'll keep watch. Lin Yi said indifferently, my cultivation is no different from sleeping. I can sense everything that is happening outside. Ling Shan's mouth was agape, but she didn't say anything. She knew how weird Lin Yi was after all, and it wasn't a surprise to her. Xiaoke was about to die from tiredness. Money really wasn't that easy to earn. Earning some extra money to support the orphanage wasn't easy at all. Although the orphanage had received a huge donation from Songshan Songshan First School, more than 2 million, she couldn't just sit there and do nothing. She wouldn't let go of a chance to earn money. Songshan's anti-theft operation was still ongoing, and Xiaoke had no business to do it all. She had to look for other opportunities. She posted a mission on the Thief Store's website, and a tomb robber organization called Red Pagoda accepted her mission, asking her to help with the tomb robberies. And so Xiaoke came. But she didn't have a car. She did rent one before, but the driver would only drive her to the village in front at most. He wouldn't drive any further. It couldn't be helped. Xiaoke called a taxi, not a sedan. Driving on this kind of road would damage the chassis, and no amount of money would let her go. And so, Xiaoke could only walk after getting off the car. Although she was the successor of Fian sect, and her qigong was amazing, walking 10 kilometers in one go was still exhausting. After all, she was a girl and her stamina wasn't that good to begin with. Damn it, I'm finally here. Yu Xiaoke was on the verge of tears when she saw the tent not far away. She couldn't help but cheer and use her qigong to run forward. Who are you? Old He was still blocking Xiaoke's path with a few men with guns. People from the Fian sect. Yu Xiaoke stopped and said while gasping for breath. You walked here? Old He was confused when he saw someone running over, but he didn't expect it to be the Fian sect he was waiting for. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Fian sect's people were amazing running this far? Yeah. Why didn't you send a car to pick me up? I'm so tired. Xiaoke rubbed her waist and complained. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. Old He felt that this girl in black was most likely from Fian sect, but he still asked out of caution. Pagoda bearing Heavenly King Li. Xiaoke said. Alright, I got it. Let me see what the tomb looks like. We should talk about our conditions. Of course. Please come with me. Old Black nodded. He didn't dare to offend the people of the Fian sect. The Fian sect was an established sect in the Thief sect. They had a unique understanding of secret mechanisms. This time, I'm not the only one participating in this grave-robbing operation. So, we need to discuss how much we can give you. I don't have the final say. Of course, it all depends on your own ability. Old Black's words were very clear. If you want more benefits, you have to show some ability. If you can enter the tomb smoothly, then it wouldn't be a problem to give you a share. But if you're not good enough, then you won't be of much use. At most, they'll just give you a reward. Alright. Xiaoka nodded. Lin Yi was training when footsteps came from outside the tent. Lin Yi immediately came back to reality and stood up. Someone's here, but it's not a master. Tian, go take a look. Yu Qian was here as a follower, so Lin Yi called him Lil Tian. Chapter 1329. What's the matter? Yu Qian asked faintly. The man paused upon seeing Yu Qian come out. He didn't expect the thief couple's follower to be such a master, noticing him walking over. But he wasn't surprised. Which tomb robber didn't have masters by their side? Even old He had a mystic class master by his side. These people lived their lives with their heads hanging on their waists. One wrong move and they die in a tomb. Hey bro wants the two of you to go to his tent. The guests are here and he wants to have a meeting to discuss the profit sharing. The man didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Alright, you go back first. We'll be right there. Yu Qian nodded. The man didn't say much. This was how the couple were and they didn't interact much. He turned and left after informing them. Yu Qian went back to the tent and told Lin Yi and Ling Shan what the man wanted. The man wasn't speaking softly and Lin Yi and Ling Shan heard him clearly. The three prepared themselves and left the tent, heading to Old He's. Old He's tent was the outermost one, in charge of interrogations and security. Lin Yi's tent, on the other hand, was the innermost one, and so by the time they reached Old He's tent, the others were already there. With the couple's usual style, they wouldn't take the initiative to greet other people, and so Lin Yi and Ling Shan found a place to sit down. Yu Qian, on the other hand, stood behind them as a bodyguard. Kung Bro was the leader of a group of tomb robbers, and King Bro was just his nickname. As the name suggested, his face was full of holes as if he had some sort of illness. In short, he was terrifyingly ugly. Old Hao, on the other hand, was an old man in his 50s. According to the information, he was a senior in the tomb raiding industry, highly respected and experienced. This time, Old Black was afraid that he wouldn't be able to take the tomb for himself, and that others would have other ideas, so he got Old Hao to take charge. The last person was a foreigner named James. But thinking about it, James was just his alias. It was impossible for people in this industry to show their real names. Many foreigners were interested in antiques, but not many of them were here to rob tombs. This James is a capable person. It was said that when the tomb was first discovered, he was there as well and King Bro was there as well. Only Old Hao joined later. Alright, everyone's here. It's not the first time we've worked together, so there's no need for introductions. I'll introduce you all to an external helper, a famous one in the Steel sect, the successor of the Fian sect. With that, Old He waved his hand and Xiaoka walked into the tent. Lin Yi and Ling Shan paused when they saw Xiaoka enter the tent. Why was she here? But when Old He introduced the Fian sect, he suddenly remembered that the first time he met Xiaoka, this girl had claimed that she was a disciple of the Fian sect, and wanted to compete with him. Who would have thought that Xiaoka would be invited by Old He as well? Lin Yi and Ling Shan exchanged glances, both a bit surprised and a bit alarmed. They couldn't let Xiaoka find out about their identities, at least not in front of everyone. Otherwise they'd have no chance at all. Everyone knows what the Fian sect does, and I'm sure everyone here knows about the traps in the tomb. We don't have much confidence and Lu Bujia isn't helping us, so we can only ask for external help. Old He said. Let's split the benefits before we rob the tomb, so we don't have to worry about conflicts later. I agree. We need to have rules when we're working together, otherwise we'll get blinded by greed. Old Hao was the first to agree. He was here to hold the line, so naturally he agreed with Old He's point of view. I agree as well, it's better to be clear about this. King Bro nodded. Nothing can be accomplished without rules, I agree. James said in a weird tone. I have no objections, Lin Yi said faintly. Alright, since no one has any objections, then let's start splitting the benefits. I have a suggestion, I wonder if anyone has any objections? Old He said. We found this tomb together, but I was the one who got the clue first, so I should take 30%. Yes, that's a good idea. Everyone nodded. Every profession had its own rules, and as the one who gave the clue, Old Hay naturally had the right to take 30%. Kung Bro, Old How, the duo, and James, you guys take 15% each, and the remaining 10% goes to the Sparrow Girl from the Fian sect. Old Hay said. Of course, the Sparrow Girl needs to show her true strength. Sure. After a moment of silence, King Bro, Old How, and James all nodded in agreement. There had to be a lot of treasures in this sort of dangerous tomb, but if they didn't have someone powerful, they wouldn't be able to get in. 15% didn't sound like much, but it was still a huge amount of wealth. Moreover, this distribution was clearly the most reasonable. Although Old Black took double, he was the one who put in the most effort. Moreover, after he received the information, he didn't monopolize it. Instead, he shared it with everyone to find the exact location of the ancient tomb. 15% is too little, I want 20. At this moment, Lin Yi spoke up. Ling Shan paused, a little annoyed at Lin Yi for messing with her. Even if he wanted 100%, it wouldn't be his in the end, so why did he have to do this? But Lin Yi had already spoken and she couldn't go against it. She could only see how Lin Yi would handle this. Old Hay frowned. He didn't expect the male thief to speak up. But he didn't want to piss off this male thief, since he wasn't much weaker than Wuxia and the Fian sect. Male thief, how do you think we should split it? I don't care how others split it, I want 20%. Lin Yi said domineeringly. That's. Old Hay sighed. This distribution is the most reasonable. If you wanted an extra 5%, I wouldn't be able to take it from the others, so I'd have to take it from my share. But why should I give you that extra 5%? Chapter 1330. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything else. Ling Shan and Yu Tian, on the other hand, started to admire Lin Yi. The more Lin Yi was so calculative, the more he fit the image of a thief couple. These people wouldn't suspect anything. Sparrow Girl, what about you? Do you have any objections? Old Hay turned to Xiaoke. I'll give you 10%, and that's according to the rules. Nothing more, nothing less. Technological foreign aid is 10% of the profits. No problem. Xiaoke nodded agreeably. In fact, Old Hay was very fair since everyone was paying the same price. But let's get this straight up front. If you can't solve anything, then I'll just give you some money and let you go back. Old Hay said. This 10% is still valuable. I understand. Xiaoke said confidently. You know Fian sect's reputation, right? They keep their word. But I want cash for this 10%, not items. What Xiaoke lacked was money, and she had no use for the treasures in the tomb. It would be hard to get rid of them, so she suggested it directly. Sure, but you know the rules. The discount rule is 20% off the market price. Old Hay said. We can't get rid of them immediately. There's always a risk if we keep them in our hands. Understood. Xiaoke nodded. But if you don't want them, I can pick them up, right? That's up to you. Old Hay nodded. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Xiaoke's words. This girl really was a little money grubber. She didn't want to let go of anything at all. Why would she want to pick up things that other people didn't want? But no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. These grave robbers had very high standards and they wouldn't be interested in normal things. Picking them up would take up too much space, and some small things like gold and silver would be good for Xiaoke. After confirming the division of benefits, there was nothing else to talk about. Old Hay said, since no one has anything to say, then it's settled. I don't want any conflicts of interest. I think with Old How here, everyone can follow the rules. Everyone nodded, but no one knew how much sincerity was in this nod. When the benefits were not big enough, everyone could naturally abide by the rules, but once the benefits were to the point of making people jealous, then it was hard to say. I'll head back first. Lin Yi said faintly as he stood up and walked out of the tent, Ling Shan and Yu Tian following closely behind. Let's all get some rest. We'll enter the tomb together tomorrow morning. Old Black nodded and said. Back in the tent, Ling Shan said immediately, that Fian sect. But Lin Yi put a hand over her mouth and made a shushing gesture. Lin Yi, on the other hand, continued. The Fian school might not be able to do that. We have some key information about this tomb in our hands. Even if they could solve it before, the last step is still up to us. Otherwise everyone will die. With that, Lin Yi pointed at a corner of the tent. Ling Shan and Yu Tian looked at where Lin Yi was pointing, and saw that there was a listening device installed on the side of the tent. Ling Shan's heart skipped a beat. She was lucky. She had been too rash, and if it weren't for Lin Yi's quick reaction, she would have been exposed. She wanted to say that Fian sect's flying sparrow girl was Xiaoke. Wasn't that the female thief she was after? Her identity would have been exposed if she said that, and Old Black's assault rifles would have surrounded them. Even if the three of them managed to escape, the mission would have been a failure. Tian checked the inside of the tent, see if anyone did anything to it. After saying that, Lin Yi seemed to have remembered something, ordering Yu Qian. Yes. Yu Qian pretended to check the insides of the tent. It'd be too fake if he found the listening device right away. He wanted to search for a while before taking it out. He'd also check the other parts of the tent to see if anyone had done anything to it. Old Black was listening to Lin Yi and Lingshan's conversation with a listening device, and he heard Lin Yi telling Yu Qian to check if anyone had done anything to the tent. He was troubled. He thought to himself that this couple was still on guard against others. But that was to be expected. Who wouldn't be on guard in this line of work? He'd asked his men to put a listening device in someone else's tent when they were discussing. Wasn't that to guard against others as well? After hearing Lin Yi's words, Old Black finally understood why Lin Yi was so confident in asking for 20%. He had a trump card. He actually had information on this tomb. Old Black's heart palpitated as he listened to Lin Yi talk about the mechanism. Luckily he'd agreed to Lin Yi's request. Otherwise wouldn't they all be dead in the tomb? Wouldn't it be a huge loss if Lin Yi took advantage of them all? Not long after, it was obvious that the male thief's subordinate, Xiao Tian, had found the listening device. There was only a creaking sound, and there was no sound from the earpiece. The listening device had been destroyed. Didn't expect this couple to have a trump card up their sleeves. No wonder they were so cocky. One of Old Black's underlings said. He was in charge of listening to the other tomb robbers, but the others didn't say anything important, and he carefully removed the listening device. Evidently no one here was an idiot. They were all people with some tricks up their sleeves. Old Black shook his head. This was the only thing he could do. Everyone had spoken nicely and there wasn't anything wrong with the distribution of benefits, but who knew what would happen tomorrow? Yu Xiaoke didn't bring a tent, but Old Black gave her one. She didn't have the money to buy things from the supply truck, which belonged to another faction in the Steel Sect. There was a group of people in the Steel Sect who didn't participate in tomb robberies, but would go wherever there were tomb robberies to sell their daily necessities. They had everything but the price was ridiculously high. This line of work had been around for a long time, and they'd gotten permission from a few respected seniors in the sect. Chapter 1331. Familiar? Of course, don't underestimate these people. They had the support of the big bosses of the thief sect. If anyone dared to touch them, they would be ostracized by the entire thief sect. These grave robbers were all rich, and they weren't afraid of the high prices of their daily necessities. Most importantly, they were too lazy to carry it. However, the thief couple was a special case. Although these two people were incomparably arrogant, they were very vigilant. They were always on guard against others trying to harm them. Therefore, regardless of clothing, food, shelter, or transportation, they rarely bought anything from others. Instead, they carried it themselves. Xiaoke knew this rule as well. She carried a backpack filled with biscuits and water, as well as some essential tools. A little money grubber like her wouldn't spend a lot of money on food. After returning to the tent, Xiaoke set up an alarm system before laying down on the mat to sleep. Although they were all from the thief sect, Xiaoke was a girl, and she had to be careful when she was out alone. Today, why does the male thief's voice sound so familiar? Xiaoke murmured to herself, have I seen him somewhere before? Xiaoke was part of the thieves' sects and had participated in a couple of tomb traps, but she'd never met the couple before. Both of them were wearing masks, and if she'd seen them before she should have had a deep impression of them, but she hadn't seen them before? Could it be that she'd seen the couple without their masks? Xiaoke froze, shocked by her own bold idea. Was that even possible? Forget it, Xiaoke shook her head and didn't want to think about it anymore. The couple was wearing masks, so it was obvious that they didn't want people to see their real faces. If she went over to see them, they might hold a grudge against her. Xiaoke was here for money. As for other things, she didn't want to cause more trouble. As for Xiaoke, Old Hay didn't eavesdrop. Xiaoke was alone and he wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. The Fian sect was known for their cautiousness. There was no need for him to do anything unnecessary. On Lin Yi's side, after Yu Qin removed the bug, Lin Yi glared at Lingshan. Be careful next time, think before you speak. Like an idiot. Aya, don't talk about the silly girl, I know I'm in the wrong. Lingshan blushed, embarrassed by Lin Yi's words. I didn't know these grave robbers were this cunning, planting bugs here. In the future, unless I take the initiative to ask, don't talk about the plan, Lin Yi instructed. The jade had warned them of danger when they entered the tent, and so Lin Yi subconsciously covered Lingshan's mouth and said something random, not expecting to actually find a listening device in the tent. I understand. Lingshan nodded obediently. Yu Qian learned from Lin Yi. He didn't speak before because he didn't have the time to. Now that he was reminded by Lin Yi, he realized that these tomb robbers were much more cunning than he thought. When are you going to arrest them? Lin Yi asked. With their numbers and weapons it's not hard for us to escape, but it'll be hard to take them all down. We'll play it by ear. Once all the traps are solved, I'll inform my colleagues to surround this mountain range and take them all. Yu Tian said. All of them? I hope so. Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. The map Wuxia gave him was already hard enough. Who knew what other traps were waiting for him? This ancient medicine saint was very famous, and he knew a lot of people from all walks of life. The traps in the tomb were all designed by these people, and normal people wouldn't be able to solve them. At night, Lin Yi sat on the ground practicing while Lingshan and Yu Tian fell asleep. They needed to recover their stamina and spirit to their peak for tomorrow's operation. The next morning Lingshan and Yu Tian woke up early. They were both practitioners, and while they weren't as good as Lin Yi at staying awake, they could still recover their stamina in a short amount of time. You're awake? Eat something, we'll go to Old Hei's place. Lin Yi heard people walking around outside the tent. The other tomb robbers must have woken up as well, but whether or not they were resting wasn't something Lin Yi cared about. You didn't sleep the whole night? Lingshan asked. Yeah, don't ask useless things like that. Let's eat and leave. Lin Yi said impatiently. Lingshan didn't dare say anything else. She and Yu Tian took a few bites of bread before the three left the tent. As expected, Xiaoke, Kengbro and James were all in Old Hei's tent. Only Old Hao wasn't there yet. Old people weren't as energetic as young people. Two thieves, you're up so early as well? Old Hai greeted Lin Yi and Lingshan with a smile. Ever since he heard what Lin Yi said in the tent yesterday, Old Hei's attitude towards Lin Yi had grown even more respectful. Lin Yi humphed coldly. You're the one who put the bug in? Haha, my men don't know any better. Don't take offense. Old Hai laughed. Only a couple like this would be able to expose something like this to their face. If it were someone else, they'd be too embarrassed to bring it up. But now that it was out in the open, everything was a lot easier. There was no need to hide it anymore. Now, you don't think 20% is much, right? Lin Yi asked. Naturally. If you can help out in a critical moment, I'm willing to give you that 20%. Old Hai said. Good that you know. With that, Lin Yi found a spot and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. Lingshan sat beside him as well, and Yu Tian stood behind Lin Yi and Lingshan like a door god. Xiaoke didn't say anything, just sitting beside Old Hei's tent and drinking the porridge. Old Hai was treating her, so she'd be wasting it. One can cost 10,000. Xiaoke's heart ached as she drank. Wouldn't it be better if she had 10,000? She could buy a cart full of porridge and feed the kids in the orphanage for so long. Chapter 1332. You can have it. And so, Xiaoke complained as she ate. This porridge seller was really scamming her. She'd see if she could steal some money from them after the tomb raid. Haha, it was decided. As the saying goes, even thieves have their own rules. In the Steel sect, they also rely on their own abilities to survive. It's okay to do evil, but it must be done skillfully. If they openly rob with weapons, then it's not what the Steel sect does, it's what the underworld does. However, with the development of the Steel sect, some people began to break the rules, especially some newcomers who became impetuous and greedy. However, they didn't dare to be too brazen because of the deterrence of the big bosses of the Steel sect. They just played some tricks in the dark. The competition on the surface was still based on skills. Whoever was more skillful would get more. Of course, the thief gangs in the city didn't belong to the thief sects anymore, and they didn't care about the rules. That was why Xiaoke got ganged up on that day. Do you want some porridge? Old Hai took out 2 cans and tossed it to Lin Yi. Don't worry, I'm not stupid enough to poison it. Don't be scared with Old Hao here. Plus, I can't ignore what you said yesterday, whether it's true or not. I'm not hungry. Lin Yi took it and put it on the table in front of Xiaoke. You can have it. Xiaoke didn't reject it and accepted it. She wouldn't even be willing to drink a few kwai a can of 8 treasure porridge, let alone a 10,000 kwai 1 can. Now that big head was paying, she wouldn't hold back. Old Hai shrugged and didn't say anything else. The couple's personalities were a little out of place and these people were used to it already. After a while, Old Hao came to Old Hei's tent with a few of his underlings. He didn't look embarrassed when he saw everyone there. Old Hai, can we start now? And I'll go check out the tomb today. Everyone pack up, we're going to rob the tomb. Old Hai nodded. This time, the profits belong to everyone and I hope that you guys don't hide yourself. Use whatever skills you have or no one will get anything good. Of course, it's not the first time we've worked together. Kengbro nodded in agreement. Although I'm not as experienced as you guys, my technological equipment is top-notch. James said. I'll definitely do my best if I'm needed. Humph, as long as my 20% is not a small amount, there is naturally no problem, Linny said coldly. Alright. Old How is here too, so it's settled then. Old Black was obviously a very careful person. He confirmed these things again and again, afraid that there would be any problems. In half an hour we'll be here and then we'll go explore the tomb together. Everyone nodded and went back to prepare, but Lin Yi, Lingshan and Yu Qin didn't go back, sitting there quietly as if they didn't hear what Old Hay said. Male thief, aren't you going to prepare? Old Black asked. No need, Linny said calmly. We're just exploring the tomb. What's the point of bringing so many things? Do you want to die? Old Hay shrugged and stopped talking to Lin Yi. Talking to this guy was just asking for trouble. The guy's personality was too weird, no wonder he wore a mask all the time. With that temper he must have a lot of enemies. If people knew what he looked like he'd die sooner or later. Xiaoka didn't leave too, she was getting more and more familiar with this male thief. It was a woman's intuition, or rather, a thief's intuition. She kept feeling like she'd seen Linny somewhere before. Old Hay went to pack up, and Xiaoka couldn't help but raise her head and look at Linny curiously. What are you looking at? Do you want to die? Linny knew that Xiaoka had suspicions. Linny had purposely changed his voice, but Xiaoka might still be able to see through it. It was an intuition. Xiaoka stuck her tongue out, but didn't continue asking after seeing Lin Yi's fierce face. Half an hour later, everyone came back with their tools. With Old Hay at the front and the others at the back, they headed towards the tomb. The tomb was at the bottom of a cliff in the mountain range. This kind of cliff, if one didn't know that there was an ancient tomb down there, they wouldn't go down. It was all rocks here and there was no grass or animals. No one would be dumb enough to go play at the bottom of the cliff. At the edge of the cliff, Old Hay's men started assembling the crane they brought, and in the blink of an eye, a small crane was assembled. My men will stay up there, but for the sake of fairness, your men can stay up there willingly, Old Hay said. The reason for this was because he didn't want Old Hay to come up and leave the others at the bottom, suffocating them to death. King Bro, James and Old How all had people stay up there, but Linny said faintly, I only have 3 people, so there's no need. You'll be the last to go up. That's not a problem. Old Hay paused and nodded. He had the most people up there, so it was fair for him to be the last to go up. Of course, he didn't know that Linny was only saying that to confuse him. With the height of the cliff, even a golden class wouldn't have a problem jumping down, much less a mystic. When Old Lin kicked Linny off the cliff, he didn't fall to his death. There was no way he'd die now. The crane first sent Old Hay, Old How, James, King Bro and Linny down, and then the rest of the men went down one by one. The entrance to the tomb was on the cliff, but this wasn't the real entrance. It was just a robber's hole, and the real entrance was obviously undiscovered. Old Hay, King Bro, James, Old How, Xiaoka and Linny entered the robber's cave. It was a stone room that wasn't too big or too small, and they didn't know what it was used for. There was a door in front of it, but it had already been destroyed by someone. Old Hay bent down and carefully checked the small details on the door. Then he nodded. Looks like everyone is trustworthy and didn't come without permission. Of course. King Bro and James nodded. In this line of work, we need to be trustworthy. Chapter 1333. One person was missing. Old Hay smiled awkwardly and didn't reply. He waited for all his subordinates to arrive before walking into the tomb. Outside the room was a long corridor that connected the left and right sides. Old Hay took the left path. Lin Yi didn't know much about the situation in the tomb, and the couple's work log didn't mention much about it. Wuxia, on the other hand, had given some guesses about the traps in the tomb, but he'd neglected the simple safety zones when they first entered the tomb. As a result, Lin Yi didn't say much as he followed Old Hay and the others into the dark tomb. Old Hay had a searchlight, but the tomb didn't have any sunlight at all, and it still looked eerie and scary. It was fine at first, but after walking for a few dozen meters, waves of cold air hit them in the face. There was an indescribable moldy and rotten smell that made their hair stand on end. Fortunately, the ground of the tomb was relatively flat and there were no obstacles. This allowed these people to walk at a very fast pace. After walking for a long time, there was a faint click sound. Then everything turned dark. All of them were expert grave robbers. Naturally, they did not believe in demons or ghosts. However, the sudden darkness caused them to stop in their tracks. Damn, the searchlight ran out of battery? Did it just charge yesterday? Old Hay cursed at the front of the team. Who charged it yesterday? Brother Hay. I just checked it and tested the remaining battery. There's no problem. A big man said carefully. What the hell? Who has a torchlight? Give me one. Haegu shook his head. The probability of the searchlight suddenly breaking down was less than 1%. He did not expect that this would be such a bad start. However, it was too late to go back and get a new searchlight. Moreover, they had only brought one searchlight this time. This thing was huge and it was connected to a large battery. It was quite inconvenient to carry around, so they only brought one when they entered the tomb. Someone handed old Hay a torchlight. However, the light from the torchlight was especially weak in the dark tomb. The searchlight couldn't even reach the end, let alone the light from the torchlight. However, it was better than nothing. Although he couldn't see it clearly, he could make do with it. Those at the back hold each other's hands. Don't fall behind. Old Hay shouted to the people behind him before turning to another man. Mr. Chiu, please cover the back and scatter some lime powder along the way. Don't get lost. Yes, black bro. Mr. Chiu nodded and ran to the back of the group. Linny looked at this Mr. Chiu. He was a golden class early phase peak. Who would have thought that old Hay would have someone like that by his side? After giving the order, Blackie continued walking with the flashlight. After walking for a few hundred meters, he still couldn't see the end. Linny frowned, but seeing that no one said anything, he didn't say anything either. After another few hundred meters, old Hay suddenly stopped in his tracks, and the whole team came to a halt. No. We're going the wrong way. Lao Hay suddenly exclaimed and turned around. A trace of uneasiness flashed across his eyes. Something's wrong. Last time, we only walked for about 10 minutes to reach the entrance of the underground palace. This time we walked for about half an hour. There's still a path ahead. No way? How could this be? James exclaimed. How did you lead the way? Fuck, I knew something wasn't right. Why are we taking so long? My legs are going to go numb. Keng Bro also complained. Stop arguing, old Hay, what's going on? Old Hao spoke up, interrupting them. He was the only one who hadn't been to the tomb before, so naturally he didn't feel anything wrong. Old Hao, I think we're going the wrong way. This path seems endless, we need to go back. Old Hay said. What us? You're the one who went the wrong way. King Bro complained. Alright, now's not the time to push the blame away. Old Hay didn't mean it, let's go back and talk. Old Hao was an experienced man after all. He wasn't too nervous right now. That's the only way. Mr. Chiu, lead the way back along the limestone line, we're going back. Old Hay said to Mr. Chiu. But no one answered. Mr. Chiu? Did you hear me? Old Hay called again. Still no answer. Mr. Chiu? Old Hay's face finally changed as he called again. Just then a scream came from the back of the team. Old Hay subconsciously ran to the back of the group. The others also turned their gazes to the back of the group. At the back of the group, one of the subordinates was holding a broken arm, screaming in horror. There was also a bloody shirt on the severed arm. It was Mr. Chiu's. Mr. Chiu. Old Hay looked at the severed arm in shock, speechless. After a while he roared, Where's Mr. Chiu? Why is there only half an arm left? I don't know. The man holding the arm was pale as well. You called for Mr. Chiu before and I didn't hear a reply, so I turned around to look, but I didn't see anything and I didn't touch anything. All I have left is half an arm. The team was already a little restless because they'd gone the wrong way, and now that something like this had happened, it was even more shocking. Old Hay's face was very unsightly. If he didn't know how strong Mr. Chiu was, he would have suspected that it was this man's doing. But Mr. Chiu was a golden class early phase peak. What kind of master was he to be able to kill him without making a sound? Who did it? Who did it? Old Hay was a little agitated. Mr. Chiu was his biggest support, and now he'd been killed without a sound. Plus, was there anyone in the team who could do this? Chapter 1334. One could see how strong the enemy was. Could it be an Earth class? There was an Earth class hiding here and he didn't notice? Lin Yi's eyes scanned through everyone present, but he found nothing. There were a few masters in the team, but the strongest one was only a golden class late phase peak, not even a mystic. However, the strongest expert that these grave robbers could hire was only a golden rank. After all, even a mystic rank would not risk their life for them. This profession of grave robbing was too dangerous, and there was the risk of dying at any time. It was better to be a bodyguard for a rich family. Plus, a lot of mystic class masters were recruited by the noble houses, and there weren't many of them among the commoners, let alone an Earth class. However, at this moment a person was really dead and he didn't even know how he died. There was another possibility, which was that the killer wasn't in the team. He wasn't a member of the team but someone hiding in the dark. After killing someone he went into hiding. Of course, the other possibility was that there was an Earth-class physical practitioner in the group, and when he didn't show his strength, Lin Yi's golden finger wouldn't work on him. But one had to know how hard it was to become a physical Earth class. Even a noble house like Qintian didn't have a physical Earth class. Mr. Chiu's death made everyone's faces change, especially old Hao. He looked at King Bro, James, Lin Yi and Lingshan sharply. Which one of you did it? What's in it for you? We're all lost, we can't go back, you're just hurting yourself and others, aren't you? Old Hao, that's not right, why did we kill him? King Bro wasn't happy. Couldn't it have been that Chiu guy who killed himself? Why don't you ask Old Black? Maybe he did this on purpose to frame us and take all the benefits in the tomb for himself. Bullshit. Even if I wanted to kill myself, I wouldn't let Mr. Chiu do it. Old Hay was about to explode. His master had died for no reason, and he was being suspected as well. Mr. Chiu is a golden class early phase peak master that I hired with a high price. How could I let him die like that? I have so many minions, but I want the experts to die. Am I crazy? He's already dead. Even if you say he's at the profound stage, we can't verify it. King Bro said coldly. Alright. Let's talk about what we should do first. Old Hao waved his hand and said helplessly, Old Hay, this path isn't right. Something's wrong. It took us 10 minutes to walk 500 or 600 meters to reach the entrance, but it's been half an hour now and we're still not there. It's still dark, we must have gone the wrong way. Old Hay shook his head. I was afraid that we'd gone the wrong way, that's why I asked Mr. Chiu to cover us, but who knows what you're thinking? Did you deliberately go the wrong way? Brother King had a bad temper. He was full of anger, so he took it out on Brother Hay. Fuck you. Say another word, Old Kung, and I'll shoot you. Old Hay was furious and sullen, pulling out his gun and pointing it at King Bro. Haha, shoot if you dare. King Bro scolded, knowing that Old Hao was here and that Old Hay didn't dare do anything rash. Old Hay, don't you dare. Old Hao yelled as well. Bang. A gunshot rang out and Old Hay really did shoot. If Old Hao hadn't said that, Old Hay wouldn't have acted so rashly. But Old Hao's "do you dare" made Old Hay's heart pound. Why wouldn't I dare? Fuck, I don't even know how my expert died, I'm already pissed off enough and you're still saying that I'm acting? So what if I kill you with one shot? Old Hay was on the verge of breaking down. King Bro didn't even have time to scream before Old Hay shot him dead. Everyone was dumbfounded, looking at Old Hay in horror. James and his men pulled out their guns and pointed at Old Hay. He didn't want to become the second King Bro. Old Hay, what are you doing? Why did you kill him? Old Hao yelled. Linny looked at him coolly. He didn't know if the guy was really stupid or if he was just faking it. Or was he just using his seniority? Heat provoked Old Hay so much, it would be weird if he didn't shoot. Old Hao, you saw it too, he wanted to die. He said if I didn't shoot then I'd be stupid, so I had to shoot. Old Hay humphed coldly and turned to James. Don't make a fuss or we'll all die together. At this time, Old Hay's men all raised their guns, aiming at King Bro and James' men. Alright. Even if Old King's words are bad, there's no need to kill him. I'm here, aren't I? Old Hao said helplessly. Right now, the most important thing is to run for our lives, not fight amongst ourselves. Old King's men, if you want to follow us, then follow us. If you want to get revenge for Old Kung, then fight Old Hay. I won't interfere. Once we're done, we'll go back. Old King's underlings, except for the two confidants, would no longer work for him when they saw that Old King was dead. Thinking of this, everyone put down their guns. The two confidants suddenly attacked, but they were shot dead by Old Hay's underlings. It was obvious that Old Hay had the advantage in numbers. Getting revenge for Old King wasn't a smart choice. Alright, let's go back. Old Hao said faintly, not saying anything else. The group of people still held hands and slowly walked back the way they came. This time they didn't dare to walk as fast as when they came. They just took small steps, but they didn't go far. These people had to stop. In front of them was a fork in the road. No one remembered which fork they came from, and there were no traces of lime on the ground. Mr. Chiu was obviously dead by now. What do we do? The people in front stopped and turned to ask. James opened his mouth, wanting to blame Old Hay. He was the one leading the way and that was why everyone got lost. But then he remembered how Old Hay had shot Old Kung and he shut his mouth. He was the only foreigner here and if a fight broke out, he'd be at a disadvantage. Chapter 1335. Xiaoke frowned. There was no difference between the two passageways, and they looked the same from the outside. She really couldn't tell the difference. I can't tell either, there aren't any signs or symbols here and there aren't any traps either. It's just two passageways, I can't tell. Xiaoke said straightforwardly. She didn't want them to get lost because of her judgment. Old Hay, what do you think? Old How looked at Old Hay, a little disappointed. I don't know either. Blackie shook his head. This tomb was very strange. There were no signs at all and he couldn't find any clues. He didn't know how the builders used it, but they probably brought a map with them every time they came. Then we'll go left. This time we'll all sprinkle some lime powder on the ground and walk forward. I'll cover the back. There shouldn't be a problem. Old How said after a sigh. Alright, I agree. Old Hay thought about it. It was a good idea, and with Old How covering the back there wouldn't be any problems. I agree. James nodded. At this time he had no choice but to agree. If he didn't agree, would he have to go to the right? Wouldn't that be more dangerous? Alright, it's decided then. Old How nodded. You guys go left, I'll go right. Lin Yi said faintly. As they got closer to the left, the jade on Lin Yi's chest started alerting him. Evidently there wasn't anything good here, and so Lin Yi chose the right. What? You guys aren't going with the rest? Old How's face darkened at Lin Yi's disagreement. He was the one who suggested going left. I want to go right, is there a problem? Lin Yi humphed coldly. Up to you. Let's go. Old How said to the others with a cold smile, pissed at Lin Yi's insensitivity. Old Hay frowned, suddenly remembering what he'd overheard yesterday, Lin Yi's words. Could it be that Lin Yi had full confidence? Otherwise, why wouldn't he go left with the rest? With that thought, Old Hay hesitated. Old How, let's go right. What? You trust him? Old How's face turned even uglier. I agree with the right. Xiaoka spoke up as well. She didn't know why, but she didn't like this Old How at all, so she decided to support the couple. At that moment, Lin Yi was already walking to the right, with Lingshan and Chen Yutian following close behind. Old Hay hesitated, but brought his men with him. Lin Yi's confidence only increased after seeing how confident Lin Yi was. Xiaoka walked in as well, and James hesitated for a bit before following them in. Anger flashed in Old How's eyes. He was the one with the most authority in the group, but now no one listened to him. Even Old Hay, who'd invited him, listened to the couple. It pissed him off. But now that everyone was gone, he couldn't go to the left alone. He coughed and followed helplessly with his men. The right path wasn't long, and after a while they came to another fork. Left and right again. This time, everyone was dumbfounded. Why were there two more paths? Previously, because it was behind him and the cave was pitch black, he didn't notice it. Now that he noticed it, it was already too late. How do we go? Old Hay looked at Lin Yi, hesitating. He didn't know if Lin Yi was confident or not. Let me take a look. Lin Yi stood near the two paths, sensing the danger within. But what Lin Yi found strange was that the jade didn't warn them. Were they both safe? Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't make up his mind. Why aren't you going? Old How spoke up. You're not leaving, are you? I told you to go left before, but you guys didn't listen, insisting on going right with him. Old Blackie was a bit shaken by Old How's words. Are you sure about this, male thief? I didn't ask you to come. You came on your own. Lin Yi said faintly, not giving Old Hay any hints. You can go back if you don't want to. Let's go, follow me back. We'll go left. Old How said. Old Hay and James looked at each other. They could see the hesitation in each other's eyes. Lin Yi looked at Old How but continued walking to the right path. Since there was no danger, he'd just take one. There was a saying that all roads lead to Rome. They might be able to get out of here. Lingshan and Yutian, on the other hand, trusted Lin Yi 100%. Especially Yutian. He was someone who'd survived the jungle with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi was a very strong instructor. He could easily avoid the enemy's traps in the jungle, and he had sharp senses and senses. Yutian didn't suspect Lin Yi at all. Old Hay saw that Lin Yi was leaving, and after some hesitation he followed. As far as he could see, the couple were arrogant people, but they were very careful. These two treasured their lives and wouldn't do something that would kill them. Old Hay followed, and so did Xiaoka. James hesitated but followed as well. Old How, on the other hand, had a displeased look on his face. After another 100 meters or so, Lin Yi stopped abruptly. Male thief, what's wrong now? Old Hay paused. There wasn't a fork in the road. Why did Lin Yi stop? Look behind you. Lin Yi turned around and said faintly. Lin Yi was more attentive this time, and noticed that there was a slight dip in the hallway when he was walking. If he wasn't mistaken, this should be the intersection of the two caves. Sure enough, there were two passageways behind them. They were exactly the same as the passageways they had seen before, and these people had come out from the right passageway. There's another tunnel. Old Hay said, shocked. If I'm not wrong, we'd come out from here if we went from the left. These two tunnels are connected. With that, Linny didn't stop. Chapter 1336. After a while there were 3 forks in the road. All 3 entrances were exactly the same. People without a map would have been lost by now. Linny stood at the entrance of the 3 forks, testing it out before going to the right. The other 2 jade pendants reacted, especially the one in the middle. Naturally, Linny went back to the one on the right. The people behind him continued to follow, and even Old How didn't say anything this time. After another few hundred meters, Linny stopped again. There was still no exit in front of him. Old Hay, on the other hand, subconsciously looked back as well, but there wasn't any passageway. He didn't know what Linny was doing. "Your man died here," Linny said faintly. "Ah." Old Hay was stunned. He quickly shone the flashlight on the ground. With the weak light, there was indeed a pool of blood not far from the cave floor. However, if one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it at all. "So that means this is the right way? We didn't go the wrong way?" James said happily. Old How's face darkened, but he said, "All roads lead to Rome. We might be able to get here from the left as well." But at this time, no one would argue with him. At this time, everyone saw the joy of success. Everyone finally walked out. "But where's Mr. Chio's body?" Old Hay looked around curiously but didn't find a body. "I don't know." Linny said, "I have no obligation to find a body for you. If you want to look, then stay and look." "No. I'll go with you." Old Hay trusted Linny completely now. Thank God he heard what Linny said yesterday that made him trust Linny so much. Otherwise he wouldn't be able to go back alive today. This time there were traces of lime on the ground, evidently from Mr. Chio. But he didn't see Mr. Chio's body along the way, which confirmed Lin Yi's guess. There was a master in this tomb. Of course, Mr. Chio was too far from Lin Yi, and with so many people holding hands, the line was very long, so Lin Yi didn't sense the master's aura. But if this person had gotten close, Lin Yi would have been able to sense it. "This is the place." After a while Lin Yi stopped and turned. "We went the wrong way here." Everyone turned their heads after hearing Lin Yi's words. As expected, there was another cave behind them. Evidently they had entered the wrong cave. "That's right, I remember now, there was a rock blocking this entrance, and now that it's gone, I went the wrong way. I was looking for it, but I didn't know it was taken away." Old Hay slapped his forehead in realization. Who took it away? Lin Yi frowned. It seemed like he'd been dragged into a trap without realizing it, and the person behind this trap had an earth class helping them. He'd thought that having a mystic class among the tomb robbers would be the best, but Lin Yi wasn't expecting this. But Lin Yi didn't regret coming to this tomb. Even if he knew that there was an earth class here, Lin Yi still had to come. There were things that a man should do and shouldn't do. Lin Yi had to come for Xiao Xiao, no matter how dangerous or difficult it was. Even if the enemy was an earth class. "If you want to stop me, I'll blow you up with an energy bomb. After blowing you up, I might live, but even if you don't die, you'll be crippled." So the appearance of an earth class gave Lin Yi some pressure, but it didn't stop Lin Yi's determination to continue exploring the tomb. Someone's been in the tomb. James also remembered the stones here and exclaimed, "Someone came to this ancient tomb before us." But some of the small marks that I have placed at the entrance of the old tomb have not been destroyed. Old Hay knit his brows and doubtfully said, "Although one can enter the old tomb without destroying those small marks if one's Qigong reaches a certain level, the crux of the matter is that other than me, no one else knows what those small marks are." Lin Yi snorted at Old Hay's words. Even Lin Yi could enter the tomb without breaking the markings, let alone an earth class. He was underestimating mystic class and above. "Only the few of us know about this tomb who came in first." James frowned as well. The two looked at each other and suddenly shifted their gaze to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't know how to react to the two suspecting him. He didn't know if the real couple had been here before, but he was the fake one. This was the only reason why he'd been impersonating them. "If I was the one who did this, why would I bring you guys out? Are you retarded?" Lin Yi smiled coldly. The two were used to Lin Yi's way of talking, but Lin Yi was right. If it was him, he wouldn't have to bring them out. But could it really be the dead old Kung? Now that he was dead, there was no proof. "That's true. It's all thanks to the male thief this time. I think it's that bastard old Kang's doing." Old Hay humphed. "I'm going to the underground palace. Are you guys going back or following?" Lin Yi didn't have time to waste with them. Lin Yi was here for the fire spirit's fruit. Nothing else mattered to Lin Yi. "I think we should go back first, discuss and come up with a plan?" Old How suggested. "Today's been such a bad day and 2 people died, one of whom we don't even know how he died. If we don't get to the bottom of this, it'll be weird." "Oh, then you guys go back," Lin Yi said faintly. To Lin Yi, the biggest enemy in this tomb was the Earth class. Everyone else was nothing to Lin Yi. Male thief, I think Old Hao's right. Old He said after a sigh. Without Mr. Chio's protection, Old He was at a disadvantage. Evidently, he wanted to go back and find some more masters to protect him. Chapter 1337. Lin Yi didn't care if these people were following him or not, but Lingshan looked at Lin Yi and gave him a meaningful look. Lin Yi remembered immediately that this trip to the tomb was Lingshan and Yu Tian's mission. Their main mission was to capture these tomb robbers, and exploring the tomb was just a side mission, so these people's whereabouts were very important. Lingshan didn't want to explore the tomb alone. She wanted to keep an eye on the robbers at all times, and if anything happened, she'd be able to call for reinforcements to surround the place. She was afraid that these people would think that the tomb was too dangerous and give up on this mission. If that were the case, it'd be a lot harder to capture them once they left, so Lingshan suggested going back first. Lin Yi sighed. He was worried, but Xiao Xiao was already frozen in the coffin, so there shouldn't be any problems anytime soon. It didn't matter if they went back a day or a day later, since the tomb wasn't going to run away. Even if the robbers gave up, Lin Yi could still explore the tomb himself. Alright, let's go back then. We'll decide after we discuss. Lin Yi nodded. Old Hao breathed out in relief, his smile widening. We should all work together, right? What if something goes wrong? The people going back were the same as when they came, riding the rope crane. Only two people were missing, Old Kang and Mr. Chiu. Mr. Chiu was easy to deal with, but Old Kang still had a few henchmen up there. He didn't know what Old He was going to do with them, or perhaps Old He had already informed his men to get rid of them. After the group went up, they didn't see any of Old Kang's men, only a few who had surrendered to Old He. That was how it was. When the tree falls, the monkeys scattered. Old Kang was dead, and his men would only be killed if they fought to the end. However, Lin Yi did not care about these things. Old He was just a tragic pawn. Although it seemed that he had taken advantage of Old Kang and absorbed his men, Lin Yi felt that he was being used. An invisible net had enveloped everyone, and an invisible ghostly hand was pushing everyone in the direction he had predicted. Lin Yi looked at them coldly, not saying anything as he walked back to the tent with Lingshan and Yu Tian. He turned around after 2 steps, looking at Xiaoka. Be careful, it's too dangerous here. With your skills you better go back. Xiaoka paused and wanted to say something, but Lin Yi had already left. This scene didn't attract much attention. The thief couple had a mean personality, and they were always direct with everyone they talked to. Old He thought that Lin Yi was mocking Xiaoka's uselessness, indirectly conveying his dissatisfaction to Old He. Could it be that the couple wasn't happy with the distribution? It was no wonder, after all, that Old Kang had died today and the 15% he had was empty. Could it be that the couple was drooling over the 15%? With that thought, Old He's face darkened. He knew that it would be impossible to explore the tomb without Lin Yi's help. These people had almost gotten lost in there. If he didn't give Lin Yi more, Lin Yi might just leave and come back later to rob the tomb himself. Old He would have nothing to do then. With the couple's personality, there was no way they'd do something as unreasonable as this. Old He hesitated, but decided to give Lin Yi a portion of the profits if he was the one who brought it up. After all, Lin Yi was a very important person. Everyone rest for a bit and then come to my tent later. We'll discuss our next plan. Old He said to the people present. Please give us some suggestions, Master Hao. Some people don't even care about an old man like me anymore. Old Hao humphed coldly as he watched Lin Yi leave. Old He, don't bring people who don't follow orders with us anymore. Old Hao. That's how the couple is, but they're really skilled. We can't leave them out for this tomb raid. Old Black said, a little troubled. He wasn't too happy with Old Hao, and he shouldn't have told the old man. He was just taking advantage of his seniority and it was useless, but he was causing so much trouble. But it was easier to invite a god in than to send him away. Since this Old Hao was here, they couldn't just let him go. Old He could only explain, troubled. It's just luck, it's no big deal. Old Hao. Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yu Tian went back to the tent, and the first thing Yu Tian did was check the listening device. Lin Yi waved his hand. Don't waste your energy, Old He wouldn't be stupid enough to do something like that again. He doesn't dare piss us off right now. Plus, there was one more thing Lin Yi didn't say. Lin Yi's jade didn't send out any alarms. This meant that the tent was safe and there was nothing wrong. That's right, Old He and the others still need you to explore the tomb. But Lin Yi, how did you know which path led out? Yu Tian nodded, surprised at what Lin Yi had done today. Although he knew it before. Lin Yi's detection abilities were strong, but there were no clues in this tomb at all, and Lin Yi just walked out without any mistakes. Intuition, do you believe me? Linny smiled. He didn't know how to explain his jade pendant, so he shrugged and said, that's right. Yuqian paused, nodding. Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? Ha. Linny smiled. Alright, let's not talk about that, let's talk about the tomb. You two need to prepare yourself. There's probably a master in this tomb raiding group. Master? You mean the one who killed Mr. Chiu? Lingshan and Yuqian weren't stupids. They understood immediately. That Mr. Chiu, is he really a golden class early phase peak? Chapter 1338. Of course, there was one more thing he didn't say, other than poison and assassination. The person who attacked Mr. Chiu had done it in the most violent way possible. He'd killed Mr. Chiu outright, not poisoned or assassinated. Because to kill Mr. Chiu without the person in front noticing, neither assassination nor poison were possible. Either way, Mr. Chiu's body would freeze momentarily, and the person in front would notice something was wrong. They would turn around to check, and that would be a failure of his plan to kill Mr. Chiu without anyone noticing. So if he didn't want the person in front to notice, he'd have to cut off Mr. Chiu's hand and kill him at the same time. He'd have to kill Mr. Chiu before he could even react to the pain. Of course, this wouldn't count as an assassination but a clear kill. Linny didn't have the confidence to do this. But this unknown enemy had done it. Plus, Linny didn't even sense this person's presence. Of course, the jade didn't warn him either. This meant that when this person killed Mr. Chiu, his target was only Mr. Chiu, and he didn't have any ill intentions towards him, Lingshan, Yuqian, or even Xiaoke. The jade's warning function was very interesting, and sometimes even Linny didn't understand it. It was as if it could see into his heart. It only worked on friends and not enemies, and it didn't work on other people that Linny treated as strangers or friends that were out of range. This was similar to the party system in some online games, which only worked on the same team members on the same map. Earth class. Lingshan and Yuqian were quite shocked by Lin Yi's words. They looked at each other, their mouths wide open. Isn't that a master from the legendary hidden houses and sects? Both of them were from noble houses, and they naturally knew what an Earth class represented. Even a mystic late phase peak was a rare sight. I don't know about that, the world is full of strange things. From what you see, maybe Earth classes only exist in the hidden houses and sects, that's what you see on the surface. But maybe in the common world, some dark forces have masters like that in their hands, like the tomb raiding groups this time. Linny said. Yeah. Lingshan realized. My thinking was limited, but I was limited to the obvious, and I forgot about these criminal organizations. If this Earth rank master really exists, then I don't recommend going against him. I don't have the confidence to do anything to him. It'll be even more difficult for your men to capture him. If he wants to protect someone and escape, no one can stop him. Linny reminded them indifferently, so you should change your plans. Don't do it if you know it's impossible. Actually, if Linny really wanted to fight this Earth class to the death, he might not lose. But Linny had big business in the tomb, and as long as the Earth class didn't stop Linny from finding the fruit, he could do whatever he wanted. Linny didn't care. As for whether Lingshan and Yuqian could complete the mission, Linny didn't really care. It wasn't that Linny didn't care, but the situation was special, and Linny had to prioritize Xiao Xiao. Everything else was secondary. Lingshan and Yuqian smiled bitterly, silent. Of course they knew how strong an Earth class was. Mystic class was already very strong in the common world, let alone an Earth class. If even Linny said he didn't have the confidence, then he really didn't have the confidence. They didn't know which tomb robber had the ability to get an Earth class to help them. We can only play it by ear. Lingshan sighed. I couldn't stop old He in time when he tried to kill someone today. I really didn't know what to do. Lingshan, naturally, didn't want the suspect to die in the middle of an internal strife. If he died, it'd be hard for him to get his loot back. One dead means one less. I'll only be able to confirm which side that Earth class is on if more of them die. Linny said nonchalantly. Lingshan and Yuqian were silent, thinking about it for a while before changing their plans. Lin Yi, on the other hand, called House Chu's villa. After a while, Gooden's voice came from the other side. Hello? How are you? Gooden, it's me. How's your family? Lin Yi didn't expect Gooden to become so polite after being here for a while. He even knew how to say you. Boss, it's you. Gooden was excited when he heard Lin Yi's voice. Everything's fine at home. I sent the 3 sisters-in-law to school this morning, and I'll pick them up at night. Don't worry, boss, I won't let anyone touch a single hair on them. I'll kill anyone who dares. All right, Lin Yi smiled. Right, how's General Wei Wu? Go to the police station later and give General Wei Wu to an officer called Lu Wangli. I'll talk to him. General Wei Wu? Alright. Gooden nodded. Alright, I'll send it over in a bit. What happened in the tomb today made Lin Yi think of General Weiwu. If General Weiwu was here, then he'd have less trouble and more confidence. After all, dogs had a sharp sense of smell, and this was also a backup plan that Lin Yi had. It would be great if he couldn't fight against that Earth-rank master, but if he did, he would play with an energy bomb and kill him. Then he would have General Weiwu as his golden finger to repair his damaged meridians and regain his strength. Lin Yi was afraid that without General Weiwu by his side, he'd die in the tomb. After the call with Gooden, Lin Yi told Lingshan to call Lu Wangli and arrange for him to send the dog over, while Lin Yi drove out himself. In the Xiao family's villa, Xiao Ji called Xiao Ben from the company in a hurry. In the Xiao family, Xiao Ben was the one who took care of the business, and Xiao Ji on the other hand was happy to be the head of the house. He didn't care about anything, just having the title of head of the house. But for Xiao Ji this was the best way. "Big brother, why did you call me back so urgently? What happened?" Xiao Ben hurried home and asked as soon as he entered the door. Chapter 1339. Oh? Lin Yi went out? Who told you that? Is it reliable? Xiao Ben's eyes lit up. Absolutely. I saw Lin Yi leave the villa yesterday with my own eyes, and I was worried today, so I sent Xiao Wangdao and Xiao Wangba to Lin Yi's school to ask around. Lin Yi really didn't go to school. Xiao Ji said. How about this, let's confirm it again. If Lin Yi really isn't there, then we'll make our move. Xiao Ben sighed. He didn't want to miss this opportunity. After all, he'd been wanting to make a move on Pingzhan for a long time now. Actually, brother, the two masters from House Pai have already healed. With their strength, even if Lin Yi was there, it wouldn't be a problem. We'll let them cripple Lin Yi. Xiao Ji said. With the two masters from House Pai, as long as it's not that hero, crippling Lin Yi and Li Fu would be a piece of cake. That's true, but that's only if the two masters from House Pai help. If they don't help, then everything would be for naught. Xiao Ben said. If they're willing to help, then we don't even need to talk to Pingzhan anymore. We'll just let them cripple Lin Yi and Li Fu, capture Meng Yao, and ask Pingzhan for money. Let's see if he'll give it to us. Brother, I think we should talk to them and tell them our intentions. Most of the profits we get will belong to House Pai after all. As long as there's profit, they'll definitely help. Xiao Ji's thoughts were simple. There was money to be made, so why wouldn't they help? You don't say, brother, you're right. Even if we take down House Chu, most of the profits will still belong to House Pai. If they don't help, then who would? Xiao Ben slapped his thigh, feeling enlightened. Xiao Ben was always thinking in a complicated way, thinking that the two masters from House Pai wouldn't be controlled by the Xiao family, but he'd neglected an important point. What the Xiao family was doing right now was also benefiting House Pai. And so, Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji found two masters from House Pai and told them about their plan to deal with House Chu. Of course, Xiao Ben didn't forget to mention that doing this was also to earn money for House Pai. Pingzhan's business was huge, and it would be a huge deal if he were to just give some of it to Lin Yi. Of course not. Pai Yangyang nodded without hesitation. He was beaten up and sent to the hospital. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a mystic class master, his body's recovery speed was super strong, and he had House Pai's special healing medicine, he didn't know how many months he would have to stay in the hospital. However, he had nowhere to vent his anger. Now that the Chu family had a punching bag, he naturally wouldn't let them off. Mr. Pai nodded and said, let's take it as a warm-up exercise. That's great. Since the two experts don't have any objections, let's hurry up and make our move tonight. Xiao Ben said. Meng Yao will be out of school tonight, and Li Fu, the golden class early phase physical practitioner, will be there to pick them up. Lin Yi might appear as well, but it's not certain. Don't hold back when the time comes, just injure or cripple Li Fu and Lin Yi, preferably killing them. Then, capture Meng Yao and the mission will be complete. Leave the rest to me. That's easy, no problem. Pai Yangyang nodded proudly. What level is Lin Yi at? A mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner? Yes, a mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner. Xiao Ben nodded. Naturally, he didn't know that Lin Yi was already a mystic mid-phase peak. A small mystic mid-phase, I can kill him with one slap. Pai Yangyang nodded. He was a typical bully. Tonight, the two of you along with Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao, go intercept Meng Yao's car. They know which car it is, let them point it out from afar. It's not good for us two brothers to appear there. Xiao Ben said. Alright, no problem. Pai Yangyang patted his chest and promised. Wang Dao and Wang Ba were very happy that they were given such a heavy responsibility. It was quite an honor to go on a mission with two mystic class masters. And so, Xiao Wangdao and Xiao Wangba immediately contacted Wu Qintian, who was closer to them. Bro, it's Wangba. Wangba dialed Qintian's number. Bro, are you free tonight? Nope, what's wrong? Qintian had nothing to do other than thinking about how to chase after Sun Jingyi. He hadn't been to his company many times and it was purely for showing off. It's like this, bro, don't you hate that Lin Yi brat? Today 2 of our Xiao family's house pie masters are planning to kidnap Meng Yao, and they might get into a fight with Li Fu and Lin Yi. My dad already told them to kill Lin Yi. Bro, are you interested in coming over? Wangba asked. Kill Lin Yi? Qintian paused. He hated Lin Yi, but he only wanted to mess with him and chase him away from Sun Jingyi. As for killing Lin Yi, that was something he never thought about. He might be arrogant and cocky, but he wasn't a sinister person. So when he heard that Xiao family wanted to kill Lin Yi, he was shocked. But this was Xiao family's business, and they had the support of the hidden house pie. Naturally, Qintian couldn't say anything about it. He hoped that Sun Jingyi wouldn't blame him when she found out. He was a golden class master, how could he fight a mystic late phase peak of the hidden house pie? Even House Wu wasn't a match for them. Yeah, that Lin Yi is a mystic as well. This is a battle between masters and it's a physical master fighting a spiritual master. Bro, aren't you a physical master too? Come and watch, I'm sure you'll learn something. Wangba said. Qintian didn't want to go at first. He was afraid that Sun Jingyi would ignore him even more after knowing the truth, but after hearing Wangba's words, he changed his mind. Yes, a battle between masters, especially a physical practitioner, it'd be very beneficial for him if he could observe it. Perhaps even a small movement would benefit him a lot, and so Qintian's heart started to itch again. Chapter 1340. Then it's settled. Bro, drive to Xiao family's villa later, we'll go together. Wangba said. Alright, I'll definitely go, Qintian nodded. The reason why Xiao family asked Qintian to come was to show House Wu the strength of Xiao family, to let them see how strong the hidden house pie's practitioners were. This way, through House Wu's mouth, they could let the other noble houses know that Xiao family wasn't to be messed with. How was it? Xiao Ben quickly asked after Wangba hung up. He has agreed to watch the battle. Xiao Wangba nodded. That's good, this time we must make Xiao family famous. The noble house meeting is about to be held, and with House Pie's support, we'll definitely get a good position. Xiao Ben said proudly. At night, Gooden sat in Falbert's Bentley and went to Songshan's first school. Gooden sat in the front passenger seat like a bodyguard, his eyes wide open, watching everything outside the window. This was a mission given to him by boss Lin Yi, and he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Falbert looked at Gooden's serious face and he couldn't help but find it funny. Where did Lin Yi find this weirdo? Soon Meng Yao, Yushu and Tang Yun came out of the school. The 3 of them seemed to be in a bad mood, and they weren't used to suddenly having one less person. The 3 got in the car and Meng Yao nodded to Gooden as a greeting. Falbert started the car and it slowly drove to House Chu's villa. Originally it was a calm matter, but suddenly, a van without a license plate overtook and stopped in front of Uncle Fu's Bentley. Behind the Bentley, there was also an off-road vehicle blocking the way. The Bentley was pincered from the front and back, forcing it to be unable to move. Falbert stopped the car with a serious expression. The scene where he was stopped by Ma Zhu was still vivid in his mind. Not long after, a similar scene happened again. Miss Chu, please stay in the car. I'll go down to take a look, Falbert said sternly. Although Falbert knew that they didn't come with good intentions, he still had to stand in front of them. This wasn't about being a bodyguard anymore. All these years, Falbert had treated Meng Yao like his own child. He wouldn't allow anyone to hurt her. However, before Falbert could get out of the car, the door of the van in front of him opened. 2 people, one old and one young, wearing white training clothes, jumped out of the van. Not good, it's a master from House Pi. I'm afraid they don't have good intentions. Falbert frowned. Li Fu, Lin Yi, get out of the car and die. Pai Yang shouted arrogantly at the Bentley. Since the front and back of the Bentley were covered with a film, he couldn't see what was going on inside. Not far away, Xiao Wangba, Xiao Wangdao and Qintian were hiding in another MPV, quietly watching the situation unfold. As expected of a mystic late phase peak, they're so cool. Qintian said enviously as he looked at Pai Yang and Mr. Pai, when will I become like this? Qintian was a person who worshipped strength, but it wasn't strange. Every disciple of a noble house wanted to become stronger and stronger. Haha, don't worry Wu bro. After this is done, I'll have Elder Pai teach you a thing or two. You'll understand it for sure, Wangba said. Oh, that's great. Thank you Wangba bro, Qintian said happily. Qintian said happily. Although his grandpa was a mystic as well, he still had his limitations. If there was another mystic class physical practitioner to teach him, then Qintian might be able to benefit from it. You're welcome, let's watch the show first. Wang Ba waved his hand. Pai Yangyang arrogantly walked to the front of the Bentley and slapped the hood of the Bentley. Instantly, the hood caved in and a complete palm print appeared on it. Get out of the car, hurry up and get out or else I'll smash your car. Pai Yangyang yelled. No way? This elder Pai's hands are this strong? That's iron hands. Qintian said in admiration. I specialize in iron hands, but I can't make such a neat palm print. This won't do, I must consult him later. Of course, a mystic is different. Wang Dao couldn't help but feel proud of Qintian's admiring look. Before, it was always the Shao family that admired the other noble houses, but now, it was the other noble houses that admired the Shao family. On the other side, Faubert was about to get out of the car when Gooden stopped him. These two old bastards dared to come looking for trouble. I should have killed them with one punch. Don't worry, I'll go down and kill them with one punch. Gooden remembered what Lin Yi told him, that he couldn't show mercy to his enemies. His body was a bit special, and if he gave his enemies a chance to retaliate he'd be done for. Faubert heard Gooden's words and remembered that there was a strong person in the car. This was a practitioner that sent 2 wallet masters to the hospital. If that was the case, what did he have to be afraid of? He'd just wait for Gooden to kill them. Gooden jumped off the car and without a word, he punched Yangyang's chest. Bang! With a loud sound, Yangyang, who was acting cool, was sent flying by Gooden, crashing into a telephone pole 10 meters away. Evidently, he wouldn't be able to survive after falling to the ground, the huge hole in his chest clearly visible. Gooden had punched him through with one punch. Mr. Pai was also in a good mood. He was ready to say a few words after Pai Yangyang was done. He wanted to relieve the depression he had in the hospital, but before he could say anything, he saw a person get out of the Bentley. Without saying a word, the person punched Pai Yangyang and sent him flying away. Mr. Pai was dumbfounded. What was going on? How did Yangyang get sent flying? Why was there such a strong practitioner in the Bentley? But when Mr. Pai's eyes landed on Gooden, he was scared out of his wits. Fuck, wasn't this the warrior who called himself Grandpa Gooden? Why was he in the car? Warrior, why are you here? Mr. Pai stuttered. Chapter 1341. In truth, it wasn't that Mr. Pai didn't want to fight, but that he didn't dare. As far as he was concerned, Gooden was a super strong being, and he was already traumatized when he was with the Shao family, and just now he killed Pai Yangyang with one punch. How could he fight someone like that? Therefore, apart from begging for mercy, the only thing he could do was to beg for mercy. There was nothing else he could say. Gooden kicked Mr. Pai to the ground. Speak, who sent you? Is it that old woman Go Huli? Gooden knew Go Huli from the Shao family, and the first person he thought of was her as well. Speak or I'll stomp you to death. Mr. Pai was about to speak when he heard 2 cracking sounds, and pain shot up his legs. Gooden stomped down on Mr. Pai's legs, breaking them. This Mr. Pai wasn't as strong as Pai Yangyang, but he was more than enough to deal with Gooden. So, Gooden crippled him first, turning him into a cripple. This way he wouldn't be a threat anymore. Speak, who sent you? Mr. Pai was about to speak when he heard another cracking sound, and pain shot up his arms again. This time, before Mr. Pai could speak, Gooden stomped on his right arms again, breaking them as well. Mr. Pai's eyes rolled back in pain as he screamed, I'll speak, don't kill me. Okay, tell me. Gooden stepped on Mr. Pai's left arm, breaking it as well. The reason for this was simple. He couldn't give Mr. Pai any chance to attack him, so he had to break his arms and legs. That way it would be safer for him to ask questions. Mr. Pai was in so much pain that he felt wronged. He was about to speak, so why did you keep stepping on him? Did you want to kill me? Can't you let me finish what I'm saying? Not far away, the 2 brothers from the Shao family were shocked. Oh my god, what kind of master was this? He actually killed Pai Yangyang with a single punch and instantly crippled Mr. Pai's 4 limbs, not even letting him say a word? Was this a one-sided beating, or was it a question? Qintian, on the other hand, was excited. What kind of master was this? Wasn't he too strong? To be able to kill a mystic late-phase peak physical practitioner with one punch, what kind of skill was this? This was an absolute master. It was already amazing to see Pai Yangyang make a dent in the car with a slap, but now this person punched a hole in Pai Yangyang's chest and killed him. It was even more amazing. I'll speak. It's the Shao family. Shao family wanted me to kidnap Meng Yao. It's not my fault. I'm just an execution. The Shao family is the mastermind. Mr. Pai said straightforwardly without any sense of loyalty. After all, he wasn't from the Shao family, and he had no obligation to keep the Xiao family's secret. He was about to be killed too. If he spoke up for the Xiao family, wouldn't he be an idiot? Oh, it's the Xiao family after all. Gooden nodded and picked up Mr. Pai, throwing him at the van in front of them, using his body to smash through the metal of the van and into the car, killing him instantly. Gooden clapped his hands. Boss said that if anyone dares touch Mingyao, I'll kill them. With that, he kicked the van in front of him to the side, clearing the path for the Bentley. Gooden was about to get in when someone ran over, kneeling on the ground with a thud. Master, please take me as your disciple. You really are a master of the physical practitioners. You have to take me as your disciple. It was Wu Qintian. Qintian saw how strong Gooden was and he couldn't miss this chance. From what Gooden could see, this person in front of him was at least an Earth class, killing a mystic late-phase peak so effortless. What else could he be other than an Earth class? He might even be stronger. Who are you? Gooden looked at the kneeling Qintian, confused. I'm Wu Qintian, the young master of House Wu. Qintian introduced himself. I'm also a physical practitioner, but I'm only golden class early phase. Oh, piss off, I don't have time to take in disciples, I still have to be a bodyguard for my boss. Gooden waved his hand impatiently. Ah? Then you can take me in as your follower, I'll be your boss. Qintian rolled his eyes and went for the second best option. Follower? What can you do? Gooden wanted to reject, but thinking about it, having a follower wasn't a bad idea. He'd have someone to run errands for him. I can do anything, like something you don't want to do, I can do it for you as long as you can teach me a move or two. Qintian didn't forget to state his goal. Oh, I'll think about it then, I'll have to ask my boss about this. If my boss lets me take you in as a follower, then I'll take you in, but if my boss doesn't agree, then you can go play by yourself, Gooden said. Then who's your boss? Qintian paused. My boss is Lin Yi, you wouldn't know him even if I told you, Gooden said impatiently. Alright, you can go back first, I'll tell you the result after I ask. Lin Yi? Qintian paused. Why was it Lin Yi? Wasn't this his rival in love? But then he remembered that Gooden got off from Mingyao's car, and Lin Yi was Mingyao's bodyguard, so it made sense that Lin Yi got his follower to protect Mingyao. But Qintian felt very conflicted. Lin Yi was this guy's boss? Didn't that mean that Lin Yi was stronger than him? And if he took Gooden as his boss, then Lin Yi would be his boss. Would there still be any hope for him and Sun Jingyi? Wouldn't that mean he was fighting with his boss for a woman? That was clearly impossible, and if he took Gooden as his boss, then he'd have to give up on Sun Jingyi. With that thought, Qintian started to feel conflicted. But the temptation of increasing his strength made him reluctant to give it up. The opportunity was right in front of him, and it was gone in a blink of an eye. If he missed it, he'd never get another chance. Chapter 1342. Why would a man worry about not having a wife? With that thought, Qintian gritted his teeth and made a decision. I know Lin Yi, can you tell him that I want to be his follower? It was hard for Qintian to give up his feelings for Jingyi, but since he'd made the decision, he had to give it up. His feelings for Jingyi weren't just for the sake of his family's benefits, he really did have feelings for her. It was just that she didn't like him, that was all. Oh, you know my boss? Alright, I'll ask him when he comes back. You wait at home. Gooden made sure that this Qintian didn't have any intentions of attacking him before leaving. Alright boss, I'll wait for the good news at home, Qintian said quickly. Boss, what's your name? What should I call you? I'm Air Gooden, Gooden said and got in the car. Alright Gooden bro, I'll go back first. Qintian nodded and bowed. The Bentley left slowly. The scene here would be taken care of by the Xiao family, and Faubert didn't need to worry about the police coming. Qintian looked at the huge hole Gooden made with Mr. Pai and exclaimed, That's amazing, if I could learn even half of it, I'd be amazing. As for what Xiao family would think, Qintian didn't care anymore. With such a powerful boss looking after him, he didn't care about Xiao family or not. The Pai masters were all dead, so what did Xiao family have? In fact, Wang Ji and Wang Ba really didn't have time to care about Qintian. 2 Pai masters died just like that and they were already in a mess. These 2 were idiots and it wasn't a problem for them to act cool, but for them to deal with emergencies, it was a bit difficult. Xiao Wangba took out his phone with trembling hands and dialed his father Xiao Ji's number. Hello? Wangba, how's it going? Is it going well? Xiao Ji was sitting in the Xiao family villa, waiting for good news. He's dead. Dad, he's dead. Xiao Wangba stuttered. What do you mean dead? Are Lin Yi and Li Fu both dead? Xiao Ji laughed and said, Look at you, you haven't seen anything big at all. Isn't it just 2 deaths? What's the big deal? If he's dead, so be it. No Dad, it's a master from House Pai. House Pai's master is dead. Wangba gasped for breath. What? 2 masters from House Pai are dead? Xiaoji paused and said in disbelief, Wangba, what did you say? Are you talking nonsense? How did the two masters from House Pai die? Pai Yangyang is a mystic late phase peak, how did he die? Dad, they were killed by some master called Air Gooden. Wangba heard Gooden's words so he knew his name. He wasn't there when Gooden punched the leather master, so he didn't know that this Gooden was the warrior from back then. What? Air Gooden? Xiaoji sucked in a cold breath. Why? Why is he here? Why did he kill the masters from House Pai? He was sitting in Mingyao's car and he called himself Lin Yi's follower? Wangba was confused. Dad, who is this Air Gooden? Do you know him? Of course I do. Xiaoji said, back then he was the one who sent the two masters from House Pai to the hospital. How did he become Lin Yi's follower? Oh my god, it's over, House Xiao is finished, completely finished. Xiaoji was stunned after hearing his son's words. There was a warrior like Air Gooden involved in this. No wonder all the masters from House Pai died. How could they not die after meeting this warrior? If they knew this, they wouldn't even bother with House Chu, wouldn't that be suicide? Ah, that strong? No wonder the two masters from House Pai died with one punch. Wangba said, Dad, what do we do now? What else can we do? Just wait for House Pai to blame us. Xiaoji was speechless. How the fuck did you find out before? Why didn't you say that this warrior was in Lin Yi's house as well? I don't know him, I didn't know he was this strong. Wangba said, feeling wronged. House Xiao was in complete chaos now. Xiaoji told Xiao Ben what Wangba said, and Xiao Ben was dumbfounded as well. House Xiao was in big trouble this time. Not only did they offend the warrior, but they didn't know if House Pai would blame the Xiao family for this. If House Pai could send someone stronger, then House Xiao still had hope, but if not, then House Xiao would really be done for. Big brother, we can't hide this even if we wanted to. Why don't we call House Pai and tell them the truth? Xiao Ben sighed. We can only push the blame onto the two masters from House Pai to avoid this. That's right. This way we can say that the masters from House Pai were after House Chu's property and went to kidnap them, but they killed them. Xiaoji nodded. Dead men tell no tales anyway, even if they suspect us, it's useless. Yes, not only that, we have to pretend to be the victims and say that the two masters dragged Xiao family into this. To prevent House Chu from taking revenge, we have to ask House Pai to send someone stronger to protect us, Xiao Ben continued. Haha, us brothers are really genius, we solved a huge crisis just by talking and laughing. Xiaoji was very happy. All of a sudden, all the hatred and danger was pushed onto House Pai, and Xiao family became the victims. Haha, brothers of one mind, we can break metal. Xiao Ben said proudly, it's rare to see brothers like us getting along so well in a noble house. That's right, I'm the head of the house and I'm a magnanimous person, I don't make decisions on my own. Xiaoji nodded. With House Xiao covering up the deaths of the two masters from House Pai, this matter passed peacefully, not even causing a ripple. The bodies of the two masters from House Pai were carried to House Zhao's villa, waiting for the people from House Pai to come pick them up and discuss what to do next. On the phone, the people from House Pai heard the news but didn't say much. They only said that they'd send someone to talk about it. Evidently, House Pai was afraid of Gooden, who could kill a mystic late phase peak with one punch.